If not for Long Fei, the roar of sky touching would have swept through the entire Area A's examination grounds. If not for Long Fei, the roar of sky touching would have swept through the entire Area A's examination grounds. It could be said that Long Fei had saved them. Now that Long Fei was in a difficult situation, being surrounded, many of the hot-blooded youths could no longer stand. Repay kindness. To any of the examinees in the Area A, this was a great opportunity given to them by Long Fei. The chance to live again. If they could only watch as Long Fei died in front of them, then what was this? A young disciple stood up. His cultivation was not high, and was only at God's elephant state, but he dared to step out. Because he knew how to be merciful. You want to die? Wait until I kill him, you'll be next. A disciples of magic sect stared at Fan Yishan, his eyes filled with killing intent. However, at this moment, another young disciple stepped forward. If you dare to kill him, I won't let you off either. Me too. Me too. Count me in. He saved all of us. It's one thing if you don't know how to thank him, but you still want to kill him? Are you even worthy of being a person? Count me in. Voices rose and fell one after another, from the scattered sounds from before to when a group of people stood out, directly surrounding the dozens of disciples of Magic Sect. At this moment, the disciples of Magic Sect revealed expressions of fear. A disciples of Magic Sect said solemnly, "Do you know who we are? If you provoke us, you will not have a good ending. If you know what's good for you, then scram to the side." While they were talking, the disciples of Magic Sect pulled on his clothes, revealing his disciples of Magic Sect clothing. A bloody blade appeared on his chest. Devil Sect. People of the Devil Sect. The surrounding people were slightly startled. The disciple coldly laughed. It's good that you know this. When it comes to handling matters in the Devil Sect, scram. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. He wanted to use the name of the Devil Sect to scare these people. It was because he knew that the dozens of them were definitely not a match for the several thousand people here and the several tens of thousands of people here. Many people's faces changed. However, no one stepped back. Long Fei said coldly, "Disciples of Magic Sect has appeared in Factory Sect. If we get rid of you guys, will we receive Factory Sect's rewards? Fighting evil and defending the way is what every one of us who is righteous should do." As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding people stepped forward, their eyes burning with passion. He's right. Killing the devil and defending the way is what every righteous person like us should do. Kill him. Let's attack together. Obviously, Long Fei's words played a role in their hearts. As the vanguard in the path of evil, if the Factory Sect was able to kill the disciples of Magic Sect in this assessment, would there be a special reward? Would he directly make it so that they did not have to take the examination to enter the Factory Sect? All this is possible. Thinking of all these, he felt even more excited. Long Fei's mouth hooked up as he said coldly, "You want to play with me? I won't be able to play with you." The Genshulong sword moved. He was the first to kill a disciples of Magic Sect. It was also at this time. The battle was about to begin. The dozens of disciples of Magic Sect were all killed in a matter of seconds, like chickens and dogs. They did not struggle at all. Facing the siege of thousands of people, without an advantage in cultivation, how could he possibly have a chance to resist? Long Fei let out a heavy sigh. The disciples of Magic Sect had been annihilated. He did not lower his guard at all. There might even be Zhong Tianfeng's people among these people. Could it be that there is a disciple that is hiding in the Devil Sect? He had to be careful. At the same time, he was also worried about Tan De Pao and the others. If they also encountered this ancient giant beast, the consequences would be unimaginable. A few minutes later, the disciples of Magic Sect was caught dead or alive. Now they just waited for the door of spacetime to activate. The Area A's examination grounds were originally the harshest place, but facing an ancient being like the roar of sky touching us, they would definitely be burnt to ashes, an existence that had lost all light of death. But now, Area A became the most comfortable exam grounds. They all sat there, elated, waiting for the end of the exam. Rumble. The thick clouds in the sky suddenly moved, and a wild beast-like aura swept over. Buzz. Without waiting for the elders to react, they were instantly crushed. Especially Zong Tianfeng, he was so frightened that he immediately fell from his chair, and his eyes darkened. In the entire Fatri sect, there was only one person who could release such a wild beast's aura. Of the Beast Hill. Wild Beast Crazy Wolf, a person who grew up within a pack of wolves, a terrifying fellow whose beast mastery defied the heavens. Similarly, he was also a monster that was a genius of the martial arts training. In the entire Fatri sect, he was the only person who was proficient in two types of cultivation. Zong Tianfeng rolled on the ground and immediately crawled back up. He tidied up his clothes and kneeled on the ground, kowtowing heavily. Greetings, Beast Hill. In front of Yuan Tianwang, he could display his might and be on top of it. However, in front of the peak owner, he could only kneel. Boom. The crazy wolf landed on the ground and directly stood in front of Zong Tianfeng. It grabbed his collar like it was grabbing a chick, and bellowed angrily, "Who asked you to release my roar of sky touching? Who allowed it? Who gave you the right?" Zong Tianfeng was so scared that her entire body was trembling, her lips turned white, and she said repeatedly, "I'm sorry, peak owner, I. He couldn't even speak. The crazy wolf glanced at Zong Tianfeng, and instantly flung him backwards fiercely. Bam! 100 meters away, Zong Tianfeng was smashed into a pulp, his entire face was covered in mud and he looked extremely miserable. However, the moment he stood up, he immediately kneeled on the ground, not daring to be disrespectful in the slightest. The crazy wolf didn't even spare him a glance as it stared coldly at the Area A's door of space-time. The surrounding elders froze. Their gazes could not help but look towards the distant Zong Tianfeng. He was the head examiner. Only he could activate the door of space-time and let the other examinees out. The crazy wolf glanced at him, then looked at the crazy wolf in the distance. "Didn't you hear what I said?" Zong Tianfeng quickly knelt down and said, "Lord Peak Owner, the examination time is not over yet. If you open it now, I'm afraid it will be." Before he could finish, the crazy wolf shouted, "Exam? You clearly know that it's an exam, but you still let the roar of sky touching in. Do you want all the people inside to die? You call this an examination? Do you want to cut off the roots of Fatri sect?" Zong Tianfeng was so frightened that he started to tremble, and kept on kowtowing, "Disciple does not dare, disciple does not dare." The crazy wolf bellowed, "Open the door." Zong Tianfeng was still a little hesitant. After all, this was a rule, and he knew that the crazy wolf would not kill him. The crazy wolf shouted loudly, "The Area A's assessment is already over. Don't you know that the roar of sky touching was beaten away? Open the door." Zong Tianfeng was confused. The roar of sky touching was beaten away? How is this possible? Then, Zong Tianfeng rolled his eyes. Could it be that brat? If it was him. No, even if it wasn't him, it was still him. "Brat, you have hurt the precious thing that is the Beast Hill. Today you are dead for sure." Roar of sky touching was the peak guarding treasure of the Beast Hill. Everyone knew about this matter. Roar of sky touching was the peak guarding treasure of the Beast Hill. Everyone knew about this matter. Other than that, the roar of sky touching was also the flesh and blood of the peak owner's crazy wolf. Even though it had not been tamed for dozens of years, he still doted on it dearly. He didn't have the heart to use force. Never tested. Even if he had a single hair on his head, he would still feel an incomparable heartache. Now, from his anger, it was not hard to tell that the roar of sky touching was injured, and it was not even a small injury. Under such circumstances, there was a 10,000% chance that this person would die. Zong Tianfeng was secretly happy. He was just worried that he could not find the chance. Now the chance had come. "Kid, you will die miserably this time." Zong Tianfeng was excited in his heart, and immediately said respectfully, "Master Peak Owner, I will be opening the door to the Area A's examination hall." The crazy wolf disdainfully said, "Hurry up, don't waste Lao's time." He couldn't wait any longer. Yes. Zong Tianfeng also immediately walked to the front door of the Area A's examination hall, took out the key, and inserted it into the hole in the stone. Crack! The door of spacetime in the Area A's examination hall fiercely trembled. Next, the airflow revolved, causing space to distort. Hualala. Just like two huge stone doors slowly opening. Within the exam grounds. The door is open. Is the first test over? Didn't you say that it would take a day? Ha ha ha. The monsters in the exam grounds have all been chased away, so they definitely won't appear again. That means we have already passed the first test. Thanks to him. If it wasn't for him, we would still be running around like headless flies. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Countless people expressed their gratitude to Long Fei. Long Fei smiled faintly and thought to himself, could it be that this space is different from the space outside? The time within each secret world was different. It could be slow, or it could also be fast. Long Fei did not think too much about it, and slowly walked out of the exam grounds with the crowd. However, he was still a little upset and depressed in his heart. Looks like that boss won't die. Sigh. It's such a pity. If we could kill it, it would have at least leveled up, right? Zhong Xian sighed. He felt that it was too much of a pity. Without a super boss, not only would Long Fei's heart ache, it would even feel pain. Stepping out of the door of spacetime, they returned to the plaza. Before he could steady himself, suddenly, two disciples of the Fatri sect immediately descended and landed behind him. They retracted their hands and quickly grabbed his shoulders and bellowed, "Be more obedient." Everything happened too quickly. Long Fei simply didn't have the time to react. Moreover, even if he could react, it would be useless. His true spiritual value had not recovered yet, so he was unable to use many of his techniques. Then again, the speed of these two disciples was extremely fast, giving Long Fei no chance to struggle at all. Under the dual pressure of strength and coercion, Long Fei was directly taken down. Elder, seize him. Zong Tianfeng had a smile on his face as he walked in front of Long Fei and sneered, "Brat, fight with me in my territory. You really aren't qualified." As soon as he finished speaking, Zong Tianfeng let out a loud shout and said, "Get him to kneel down." Ha! Both of the disciples shouted out heavily and their hands pressed down heavily on Long Fei's shoulders. Long Fei staggered and almost kneeled on the ground. However, Long Fei did not kneel to the heavens nor did he kneel to the earth. Even if he died, he wouldn't kneel to anyone. Making him kneel, his knees abruptly straightened, and he stood up straighter. However, crack, two sounds of bones breaking came from his shoulders. The joint is fractured. Ah! Long Fei gritted his teeth as he let out a low and deep cry of pain. His forehead was drenched in cold sweat. He stared straight at Zong Tianfeng. With a heavy sound, he asked, "Why?" "Why?" Zong Tianfeng sneered. "Why? Just because you injured a roar of sky touching, that's the reason." "Me?" Long Fei's eyes darkened, and said, "You aren't in the examination grounds. How do you know about the roar of sky touching I injured?" Zong Tianfeng lowered his voice, walked in front of Long Fei, and whispered into Long Fei's ear, "If I say it's you, then it's you. If it's not you, then it's also you. That's why you can't beat me. Brat, I gave you a chance before, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Just 2 hours ago, you still threatened me. This is what happens when you fight me. Do you understand?" Ha ha ha. Zong Tianfeng laughed sinisterly. "I have 10,000 ways to play with trash like you to death." He didn't ask for confirmation at all. He did not care about what was happening in the examination hall. Furthermore, he ignored the captured disciples of Magic Sect S and crippled Long Fei from the very beginning. Long Fei's eyes tensed up, and looked around at his surroundings. There were many Fatri Sect disciples around, and all of them were royal realm. In addition, there were also quite a few elders. These elders' cultivation were even more formidable. Now that Long Fei was in Zong Tianfeng's hands, it was basically impossible for him to survive. However, he did not even have 10,000 points of true spiritual value right now, nor did he have the ability to unleash it. There was no chance of success. Then again, Tan Depao, Su Su, Lan Mai, and the others were still in the examination grounds, so Long Fei would not abandon them. That's not right. For Area A's door of spacetime to be able to open it earlier, it would be the same for the doors of the other exam sites. Thinking of this, Long Fei's eyes became gloomy. The idea was actually one of the special space ring of the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral. Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral, can you help me this once? The Azure Dragon's eyelids moved, and its two green eyes opened. Looking at Long Fei, the idea said lightly, you need my help to pay a price. Long Fei asked, what's the price? The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral immediately said, your blood essence. Long Fei's heart trembled, and said without hesitation, all right. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral said, I want 10 drop. Long Fei said again, no problem. He did not consider nor did he think about what the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor wanted his blood essence for. However, at this time, he had no other choice, and could only choose to act. Otherwise, he would have died here. The Azure Dragon Ancestor faintly smiled and said, then I will await your summons. Zhong Tianfeng sneered, brat, what are you thinking about? Don't tell me you still want to escape from here. Let's just give up. Can a low-level trash like you escape? And you probably consumed all your true spirit energy fighting the roar of sky touching, right? Right now, I'm afraid you can't even control that flying sword, can you? Tell me, how are you going to escape? Ha ha ha. Zhong Tianfeng looked extremely proud of himself. At this moment, a voice came from a distance, have you found him? Zhong Tianfeng's gaze trembled as he replied, Lord Peak-owner, I found it. Brat, just you wait. Then, a figure pounced forward like a hungry wolf. His body was emitting an incomparably strong aura of a vicious beast. It was as if the person standing in front of him was not a human, but a super monster. Seeing the crazy wolf fall, Zhong Tianfeng wanted to show off. He immediately let out a heavy sound, released both his strength and pressure, and heavily smashed onto Long Fei's shoulder. He shouted, kneel down, boom. Long Fei's body trembled. At the same time, the two disciples pressed their hands on Long Fei's shoulders heavily. It could be said that as the 6 streaks of energy pressed down on him at the same time, Long Fei's injured body was simply unable to withstand it. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled. He was about to kneel on the ground. But Long Fei's eyes darkened, and roared, kneel before your ancestor. The idea moved. His mind was filled with a powerful roar as well. Sacred Azure Dragon Patriarch, blast them to death. However, without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the crazy wolf looked at Long Fei, its gaze sinking as it roared in anger, who allowed you to make a move on him? How dare you? And then, with a slight movement of the dense energy on the crazy wolf's body, a beast shadow rushed out and directly crushed the 6 strands of energy. The two disciples were so shocked that their arms became numb, they instantly let go of Long Fei and retreated a few steps. Zhong Tianfeng was the same, however, he did not have the time to feel upset, but had questions in his mind instead. What's going on? What made him even more confused was that the crazy wolf took a step forward and grabbed Long Fei's right arm with one hand. His true soul surged. His joints suddenly turned fierce and he leaned back. Crack. The broken joints were reattached, causing Long Fei to clench his teeth in pain. And then, his left arm was the same, being caught by the crazy wolf. The crazy wolf laughed foolishly and said, I usually only heal a few demon beasts' bones, and it's the first time that someone's bones have been connected, so there shouldn't be any malpositions, right? If it's misplaced, then break it again and reconnect. Long Fei was completely dumbfounded. Seeing the wolf helmet and beast skin wearing old man in front of him, who looked like a wild beast, Long Fei couldn't tell if he was good or bad. However, at least his broken hands had been reattached. However, this technique was truly not to be praised. Long Fei said weakly, thank you. The crazy wolf snickered, if you didn't burn the roar of sky touching down, I wouldn't have had the chance to thank you. And then, the crazy wolf sensed Long Fei's cultivation and looked at him suspiciously. Did you really injure the roar of sky touching? Logically speaking, a person who can injure an ancient demon beast like the roar of sky touching shouldn't be a god's elephant state. Then, the crazy wolf's gaze turned and looked at Zhong Tianfeng coldly. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Zhong Tianfeng was speechless. The character of the crazy wolf was known for being strange in the factory sect, and it was completely impossible to guess what he wanted to do. However, Zhong Tianfeng did not dare speak carelessly. Looking at the examinees, he asked heavily, "Did he injure the roar of sky touching? Speak." His voice sank. Many of the examinees looked at each other. Long Fei had saved them, now were they going to sell him out? Seeing them fall silent, Zhong Tianfeng became angry. Long Fei immediately said, "It's me, that 8-clawed monster was injured by me. If you have anything, just come at me, it doesn't matter how many people you have." Long Fei secretly tensed up, and thought, "Seems like I won't be able to escape. Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient, you still have to make your move." The eyes of Azure Dragon's sacred ancestor, Azure Black, twitched slightly. He was prepared for it at all times. Zhong Tianfeng gave a cold laugh, and said, "Kid, you still have reason for injuring Beast Hill's mountain guarding treasure, right? You're still very arrogant, aren't you? If I don't give you some color, do you think you're going to fly into the sky?" While they were talking, Zhong Tianfeng was about to step forward again. However, at this time, the crazy wolf's eyes gleamed. He became even more excited after getting the confirmation, because he couldn't imagine how someone from the god's elephant state could injure a roar of sky touching. This was too unbelievable. It was completely beyond his imagination. He couldn't even imagine it. Zhong Tianfeng walked over and said, "Master Peak Owner, this brat is too arrogant, I will teach him a lesson." The crazy wolf said lightly, "Who are you going to teach?" Zhong Tianfeng said, "Teach him a lesson, he injured your roar of sky touching, if you don't teach him a lesson, he will really ascend to the sky." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the crazy wolf turned around and directly grabbing Zhong Tianfeng by the collar, and stared at Zhong Tianfeng coldly. "You want to hit my benefactor? Are you trying to die? Die." With a violent toss, he was sent flying 100 meters away. Bam! However, all of these were not important. What was important was when did Long Fei become the benefactor of the crazy wolf? This was the most fatal part. If Long Fei had obtained the support of the crazy wolf, then he wouldn't be able to even move a muscle. Long Fei was also startled, and said, "I think you must have made a mistake, I was the one who injured your war pet." "Yes, I know. I have to say, that black flame of yours really has some skill. It took me more than 3,000 pills to stabilize its injuries. However, heh. The crazy wolf was still very excited when it thought of reigning in the roar of sky touching, and said, "It's precisely because you injured it that made him sign the contract with me. It is completely loyal to me now. It is truly my war pet. Thus, you are my opportunity. You are my benefactor. I must thank you." The crazy wolf said excitedly. All of a sudden, everyone understood. The distant Zhong Tianfeng was also stunned, completely dumbstruck. Crazy Wolf said, "Brat, tell me, I will give you anything you want. You can help me with anything you want, but of course, the prerequisite is that I cannot break the clan rules of the factory sect." Even though he was from the Peak Owner, he couldn't act rashly. He was afraid that Long Fei would directly request for him to enter the factory sect without having to undergo the examination. This kind of thing was impossible even for sect master, let alone the Peak Owner. Long Fei asked, "Anything?" The crazy wolf hesitated for a moment, then said, "As long as you don't go overboard it's fine." Long Fei did not hesitate and directly pointed at the distant Zhong Tianfeng, saying, "I want him to kneel down and kowtow to me as an apology." He thought that Long Fei would make some extremely harsh demands, but he never expected it to be so simple. It was so simple that he thought he had misheard it, and said, "It's that simple?" Long Fei said, "Yes." The crazy wolf turned around and looked straight at Zhong Tianfeng, and said, "Did you hear that?" Zhong Tianfeng said, "Peak Owner, I am the main examiner, and I am even factory sect's outer door presbyter. For me to kneel and kowtow to him and apologize, I am afraid it will be a disgrace to factory sect's reputation, right?" The crazy wolf did not care so much. "Do you want to kneel or not? If you don't kneel, then as the head examiner, I'll let someone else take the elder's place. Do you believe me?" Zhong Tianfeng's eyes were filled with hatred, he clenched his fists tightly and knelt down. His eyes were filled with ferocity and killing intent. His eyes were filled with ferocity and killing intent. Unwilling. However, he had no choice but to kneel down, because he couldn't afford to lose his current position. Once he loses his position as an elder, he will lose a lot of things. They would even be pushed out of Fatri sect. He must not lose any of his rights or status. Plop. Kneeling in front of Long Fei, his eyes gloomy as he stared at Long Fei. Dragon Fei walked forward and said slightly, "What did you tell me just now? Fighting with you on your turf? Am I not qualified? What about now? Are you qualified? Does kneeling feel good?" Dragon Feathers didn't care at all. Love his hatred was clear. If you make me unhappy, then I will make you even more unhappy. When kneeling on the ground in front of so many people, Zong Tianfeng could be said to be sweeping the floor with his old face, as he might not be able to raise his head for the rest of his life. The muscles in Zong Tianfeng's eyes trembled slightly as killing intent filled his eyes. He said solemnly, "Brat, don't be proud." "I was proud. I have to be cocky. What are you talking about? You don't like it? If you're unhappy, you have to kneel for me." Long Fei did not hide it at all and shouted loudly, "Kowtow, apologize." Zong Tianfeng held onto the clothes on his thigh with both hands, causing creaking noises to ring out. If there was no one else here, he would definitely smash Long Fei's head apart with a single move. Of course. If there was no one else here, he might already be dead. Insanity Wolf suddenly said, "Kowtow and apologize." Hai Tianfeng gritted his teeth and kowtowed, "I'm sorry." Long Fei said, "What? My ears aren't too good. What did you just say? I didn't hear it." Right to pay such a person would not give him any face. Some people are like that. Zong Tianfeng gritted his teeth in hatred, and said with a heavy voice, "I'm sorry." Dragon Feather smirked and said, "It doesn't matter, my lord has forgiven you for a lot. I am handsome after all." Turn and Long Fei glanced at Zong Tianfeng. In his heart, he knew that Zong Tianfeng would not let him go so easily. Long Fei will not let this go easily. Leaning down, Long Fei whispered into Zong Tianfeng's ear, "Don't provoke me anymore, otherwise, you won't end up kneeling on the ground, but rather, your head will fall on the ground. With that is." Dragon he turned around and left. Zong Tianfeng's eyes turned sinister. He wanted to pounce and tear Long Fei apart. Insanity the wolf looked at Zong Tianfeng and said, "Why aren't you up yet? To actually let the disciples of magic sect infiltrate into an examination, how did you become the main examiner?" Hai Tianfeng swiftly retreated. Insanity as the wolf watched Zong Tianfeng leave, its heart slightly relaxed. "Fortunately I came in time, otherwise." He did not continue. Because before he had attacked, when he had blasted Zong Tianfeng and the other two disciples away, he had felt an incomparably enormous aura, and this aura had come from Long Fei's body. Someone who could injure roar of sky touching, how could he be a simple person? I know. If not for him, Zong Tianfeng would already be dead. No past. There was no need to explain anything to Zong Tianfeng. He looked at Long Fei with great interest and said, "Little brother, it doesn't matter if you're young or well, but sometimes you need to be able to endure your anger. Speak." There was something else to say. Dragon Fei did not know that he had sensed the Azure Dragon's sacred ancestral from the space ring and politely said, "Disciple will remember." Insanity Wolf smiled indifferently, and said, "Since you want me to tame roar of sky touching, I will help you seek justice. We will settle the score, and there is another matter that I must remind you of. In the future, don't ever come to the Beast Hill, and don't let the roar of sky touching know of your existence either." Touch the might of a divine who was clear to the crazy wolf. Even God's holy peakness powerhouse had to stand aside when he got angry. Dragon understood. "However, Elder, there's something I need to tell you." Long Fei said faintly, "The roar of sky touching's power is indeed astonishing, and comes from the ancient world. But he is only in the initial stages. If he wants to make it into a beast with tentacles that can touch the heavens, it needs an even stronger opponent to stimulate it to grow." The crazy wolf was startled. This for a moment, he was truly a little dumbfounded. Because only she knew of the origin of the roar of sky touching. However, he did not know that the roar of sky touching was still in the initial stage, But was such a huge demon beast still in the initial stage? It can evolve. He was in disbelief. But it didn't seem like Long Fei was lying to him. The crazy wolf's heart shivered, but didn't say anything. Looking at Long Fei, it smiled lightly, then leaped up high in the air, flying 1,000 meters away. In the next moment, it disappeared amidst the clouds. Is it a roar of sky touching or a low-leveled beast? How did he know that roar of sky touching comes from the ancient world? What's the background of this kid? Insanity Wolf was filled with doubts. No past. He did not take Long Fei's words to heart. Cause was only a warrior of the god's elephant state, and he could tell that Long Fei did not have any talent or potential for beast taming. Perhaps the words of such a person were just for show. There was no need to be too serious. Touch the news of the divine who quickly spread. But yes. And he did not receive too much attention, but there was one thing that made the higher-ups of the Fatry sect angry. Then, disciples of magic sect was mixed into the examinees. 10,000 holy peak. 10,000 holy hall. Each of the 28 elders was an absolute powerhouse of the god's holy state. High-seated on the back of the seat was an elegant middle-aged man. There was a sword mark between his eyebrows, and he was Fatry sect's sect master, Mr. Celestial Ju Daoren. Deity Jun slightly said, "Have you found out the purpose of Devil Sect's mission?" One a god's holy peakness powerhouse stepped forward and said, "Mr. Celestial, regardless of what goal Devil Sect has, he has already made his move, we cannot sit still. Moreover, the goal of the Devil Sect is either to sneak into our Fatry sect, or to sever our roots and eliminate some genius disciples." Another god's holy peakness powerhouse also came out and said, "That's right. Although some disciples of Magic Sect S have been cleared away, there will definitely be more among the examinees. We can't find all of them. In order to prevent the disciples of Magic Sect from infiltrating the Fatry sect, I have a suggestion. This year's examinees should all be placed into the Dark Magic Forest, and those who can endure the Demon Heart's invasion should pass the examination." Dark Magic Forest? This is a place where even the King Powerhouse cannot go in and out of. These examinees don't have many Royal Realm S, they are just sending them into a place of death. I agree with this approach. We, the Fatry sect, cannot be infiltrated by the Devil Sect. Mr. Celestial thought for a moment, then said slightly, "The method is a bit cruel, however, Fatry sect will definitely not allow any disciples of Magic Sect to infiltrate in. But we can't afford to miss out on some talented disciples. So," Deity Jun Mosier raised his eyes and looked towards a distant immortal peak. "Please come out." Sound waves moved. In a distant immortal estate, the eyes of a white-cloth saint slightly moved. His eyes flashed with a bright light. "Long Fei, are you here?" Dark Magic Forest, a place to purify or stimulate the demon heart. Dark Magic Forest, a place to purify or stimulate the demon heart. The moment a demon cultivator entered the demon heart, they would quickly reveal themselves. The lower their cultivation level, the faster they would appear. If ordinary warriors went in, they would also be disturbed, and they might not even be able to withstand the power contained within the Dark Magic Forest and fall to the path of demon. It has something to do with a person's determination. Other than that, there were also various Devil Realm demon beasts in the Dark Magic Forest, as well as extremely powerful fairy beast, which were incomparably dangerous. Under normal circumstances, this was the first time, and the most cruel time of all, that the Fatry sect had sent an elder to the Dark Magic Forest in order to test his character. Because a lot of people would die. The disciples of Magic Sect would clean up, and there were also many warriors who would fall into the path of demons and die there. They would also have to face the assaults of all kinds of extremely strong beasts. The Dark Magic Forest's assessment was like a brutal massacre. In order to minimize the damage from the massacre, in order to ensure that they could survive, they needed the protection of some people. For example, the Saintess of Immortal Destiny. Upon receiving the Mr. Celestial's orders, she would enter the Dark Magic Forest and try her best to defend against the attacks of the magical beasts. Other than that, Fatry sect would even send some clan elders and elite disciples to protect them. Amongst them, Chu Qing, Qin Shuang, Zhang Yuanhang and the others were given the task of entering the Dark Magic Forest. Dark magic forest? What do you want us to go in for? Kill a magical beast? Zhang Yuanhang muttered. He did not understand the intention of the explanation. Qin Shuang said, "Why do you care so much? It's fine as long as we have points to earn as much as we can. We have earned a lot of points from the previous mission of the God's Devil City and also passed the Master's test. In addition to the points from this mission, we will be able to obtain the qualifications to enter the Holy Abyss ruins. Will be very helpful to us all." As they spoke, Qin Shuang couldn't help but look at Chu Qing. Chu Qing didn't mind so much. She gazed into the distance and lightly said, "I wonder how is Long Fei's examination going?" Qin Shuang's eyes were a little sour, but he still smiled faintly and said, "Junior sister, don't worry, he's so strong. The Fatri sect's examination won't trouble him, he'll be our junior brother before long." Zhang Yuanhang also said excitedly, "He must be this year's top scholar. I heard that this year's top scholar will receive a special reward. What do you all think the reward will be?" Qin Shuang shook his head. "The top scholar rewards are different every year. This was decided by the sect master himself, no one knows." Zhang Yuanhang was interested. "Senior fellow Qin, do you think we should enter the Immortal Destiny Holy Ruins to cultivate?" Qin Shuang was startled. He shook his head and said, "I don't know, but if it's the Immortal Destiny Holy Ruins training, then the rewards will be too heavy. Don't think too much about it. The elders are still waiting for us." Qin Shuang looked at Chu Qing as he reminded him. Chu Qing retracted his gaze that was looking into the distance, and said softly, "Let's go. Boss, are you all right? Damn, the Fatri sect's examination is really abnormal. Do you know what I met inside? A level 8 vicious beast. Before I could even stand firm on my feet, it had already pounced on me. Fortunately, I was quick to react, otherwise, it would have probably become the feces of that vicious beast," Tan De Pao said with a lingering fear in his heart. After entering the exam grounds, he ran for an entire day without even a second to catch his breath. A lot of people died in there. He was lucky to have made it out alive. To Launcher, this kind of assessment was the most fatal. Because he didn't have time to adjust, he could only run for his life. Su Su was also exhausted, perspiring profusely as she said, "My side is also a demonic beast, and it madly chased and bit at anyone it came out. No one is its match, it's too terrifying." While Su Su was speaking, people kept coming over. "Thank you for saving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you. I will remember this in my heart. You can come find me whenever you need me in the future. Thank you for your cure." At least 100 people came up to Su Su and said thank you. Su Su replied each and every one of them with a faint smile. Finally, Su Su giggled at Long Fei and said, "So this is how it feels to help others." Hee hee. Clearly, she had saved a lot of lives in the exam grounds. Yang Jin's expression did not appear to be in a sorry state, and was relaxed. He looked at Su Su with a face full of shock, and said, "A healing technique? I never thought that I would actually be able to cultivate this kind of ability." Su Su said with a complacent look, "Of course, my Su family is a healing family." Long Fei looked at Lan Mai. Lan Mai was the only one among them who did not sweat. Vein of blue water, descendant of Holy General, if she was in such a sorry state because of a mere assessment to flee for her life, then she wouldn't be descendant of Holy General. Seeing everyone, Long Fei's heart finally relaxed a little. After all, they were still alive. "Boss, didn't Area A say the cruelest exam grounds? What did you encounter? You seem to have come out earlier than us. Could it be that your Area A is already over?" Tan De Pao could not help but ask. Long Fei laughed and said, "I'll be there a little earlier than you guys." Tan De Pao asked, "Then what kind of fierce beasts did you encounter in the exam grounds? Is he also level 8? Level 8? What was the level of roar of sky touching?" Long Fei really didn't know. However, he did not intend to say it, so he replied, "Seems so. I was too concentrated on escaping that I forgot to understand." Su Su immediately asked, "Are you injured? You look a bit weak." Long Fei shook his head and said, "I'm fine." Yang Jin looked at Long Fei and thought, it's impossible for the Area A to be a level 8 beast, and the examinees in the Area A would all come out more than any other region. This is strange. At this time, the square was filled with discussions. They were all survivors, and they were also the ones who passed the first round of examination. Each and every one of them was very excited. Have you heard? A strong demon beast appeared in Area A, but this powerful demon beast was heavily injured by someone. The owner of this magical beast has come to our doorsteps. He tortured the main examiner and even made him kneel down. This is too awesome. Such an awesome rookie. Wow, looks like there's a crouching tiger, hidden dragon this year. Who is that person? I really want to get to know him. If we meet in the future, at least we can avoid him. Let's not talk about all these. What should we consider now is the second stage of the examination. The square was full of discussions. Zhong Tianfeng had lost a lot of face, and his expression was exceptionally ugly. However, he had always been thinking about how to take revenge. He really couldn't take it anymore. At this moment, a purple light flashed and descended from the sky, and a middle-aged man wearing a purple robe landed beside Zhong Tianfeng. When Zhong Tianfeng saw the clothes on the man's body, she immediately kneeled down and said, "I pay my respects to Elder Eminent Holiness." The man's voice was soft as he said, "Stand up. Let me inform you. The second stage assessment, Dark Magic Forest." Zhong Tianfeng's eyes flashed, and he said, "Dark Magic Forest." Others might not know, but Zhong Tianfeng was very clear about what the Dark Magic Forest meant. Others might not know, but Zhong Tianfeng was very clear about what the Dark Magic Forest meant. That was where the bodies were piled. It could be said to be the most dangerous place in the entire Immortal Destiny mountain range. None of this is the point. The key was that this was a place where people could kill. As long as he could enter, he, the head examiner, could also kill. Zhong Tianfeng's eyes turned sinister as he said, "Elder, can you enter the Dark Magic Forest to maintain order? After all, I am the organizer of these newcomers. I will be able to pass every single one of them." Zhong Tianfeng naturally knew the reason for entering the Dark Magic Forest for the examination. Zhong Tianfeng continued, "This year's newbies have infiltrated the Disciples of Magic sect. I also have a responsibility. I want to make it up. I will not let any of the demon dwellers go." The middle-aged man looked at Zhong Tianfeng and hesitated for a moment, then said, "All right, then you follow me in." Zhong Tianfeng was overjoyed, and said, "Thank you, Elder. I will do my best to ensure that this exam will be continued, and will try to minimize my losses." The middle-aged man smiled in satisfaction and said, "The loss is secondary. The most important thing is that none of the demon dwellers are allowed to infiltrate the factory sect. This is sect master's decision." Joy appeared in Zhong Tianfeng's eyes. What did that mean? This meant that he had the power to kill. As long as he said that it was the Disciples of Magic sect, then it meant that they were the Disciples of Magic sect. In other words, Long Fei's life was once again in his hands. Zhong Tianfeng's heart began to boil. "Kid, what you've given me, I will return to you 1,000 times, 1,000 times. Just you wait." At this time, the middle-aged man lowered his voice and said, "Horcruxes Hill's elder who asked me to ask you, did you get that item?" Zhong Tianfeng trembled, and lightly shook his head, "Not at the moment, but please report to Elder Hu. I will definitely get it." The middle-aged man's expression did not change, and said, "I do not need to bring any news. He will also enter the Dark Magic Forest. When the time comes you can tell him yourself." "All right. My words have reached you as well. Bring these newbies to Dark Magic Forest. This is an immortal rock." While they were talking, the man took out a beast token. On it was carved a flying beast. Zhong Tianfeng received it respectfully with both hands. The man's body disappeared into a ball of purple light in the sky. The originally ugly Zhong Tianfeng suddenly became as excited as an old comer. The bird-shaped badge in his hand, he walked to the front of the stage and locked onto Long Fei, who was in the middle of the crowd, with a single glance. He thought he had lost his chance. Because he was only the organizer of the first trial, so it wouldn't be easy for him to target Long Fei again. But now it seemed that he still had a chance, and a chance that was even better than the first trial. If he were to take action himself, he would definitely make Long Fei pay. Cough cough. Zhong Tianfeng cleared his throat. The square immediately became silent. With a move of Zhong Tianfeng's true soul, he injected it into the order badge. Next. Hualala. An immortal light flew out from the talisman, and an enormous figure flew out at the same time, directly covering the entire plaza. It was incomparably huge. Just like a universe ship. Everyone raised their heads to look, and they were all stupefied. Long Fei was the same. Damn, aren't these birds too big? It was much bigger than fire and ice. Yang Jin was startled. Immortal rock? Tan De Pao asked. You know about it again? Yang Jin said, this is the immortal rock of the Factory sect. It can transport 3 million people at the same time. 3 million people? Oh my god, Tan De Pao dumbfoundedly looked at the black shadow above him, and he was incomparably stupefied. Yang Jin muttered, why would they need immortal rock? Isn't the second test still here? Are we going somewhere else? Why did it suddenly change? What happened? His eyes could not help but look at Long Fei. Lord, where are we going? Yeah. Are we going somewhere else? Many people were puzzled. Zong Tianfeng said coldly, I told you all to go up and not ask any unnecessary questions. If anyone doesn't want to go up, then please leave the Factory sect. As for where to go, you will know when we get there. Dark Magic Forest could not say. Once he said it, the disciples of Magic sect hidden in the crowd would definitely not go. Moreover, if he said that his actions affected the plan above, then it was not because he couldn't protect the position of the outer door presbyter, but because he was accused of having a secret relationship with a devil sect and died here. Hurry up and go up. Faster. Stop nagging. Although no one knew where they would be transported to, no one wanted to miss the chance to enter the Factory sect. Boss, we? Tan De Pao looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said, go. No matter what he did, if he provokes me again, I will definitely make him die an ugly death. Similarly, Zong Tianfeng also sneered coldly in his heart, threatening me. Let me kneel down and kowtow to apologize. Brat, you have completely infuriated me, just you wait. Dark Magic Forest will be your death land. Dark Magic Forest. It was located in a valley on the west side of the Immortal Edge Mountain, about 1 million kilometers away from the Factory sect. Adding on the fairy beast and flying beasts, it would be even faster. This was a land of extreme yin. The temperature of the cove was 10 degrees lower than the rest, and the entire cove was incredibly large. Even if 1 million people were to enter it, it would only be like throwing rocks into water, unable to cause any ripples. To protect Ju Quan in such a place was extremely difficult. However, Factory sect still valued this assessment greatly. At least. The Mr. Celestial sent out her Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden of immortal destiny had the power of purification. She could save many people. In the center of Dark Magic Forest, she quietly stood in front of a huge dark ancient tree. Her eyebrows were tightly furrowed and she said with a faint voice, Demon Tree, the reason why you are here is not to create a demon dweller, but to let more demon dwellers to walk out of this place. Tao, purify the soul. The dark ancient tree shook slightly, and a sinister, eerie laughter came from deep within the ground. It seemed to be mocking him. The Holy Maiden was not displeased, but said coldly, if you dare to commit more slaughter, I will definitely exterminate you this time. Woo ha ha ha. Ah, ha, ha. Another series of mocking laughter sounded from the depths of the devil tree. It caused people's minds to be disturbed, and their sea of consciousness to tremble. The disciples behind the Holy Maiden were all sweating profusely. Their bodies swayed as if they couldn't hold on much longer. The Holy Maiden's eyes turned sinister as she muttered some incantations. At this moment, the ethereal rays of immortal clouds were released from her body, just like the brilliance of the Sariras, directly cleansing the demonic sound emitted by the demonic tree. The demon note from the tree vanished. The demon note from the tree vanished. Everyone recovered their wits. Aside from the Holy Maiden, all of their faces were pale. And in that instant, they felt as if their hearts were about to burst. He felt like he was about to fall into the path of demon. He couldn't control it at all. Too terrifying. One must know that all of their cultivation bases were Royal Realm-s, but the experts of the Emperor Realm were still unable to resist them. If those newcomers were to enter, Even the tiniest bit of demonic sound would fall into the demonic Tao, causing them to bleed from their 7 orifices. This assessment. He was completely here to die. The saint's forehead also tightened. The devil tree's voice sounded in the holy maiden's heart. I should be able to feel your fear by now, ha ha ha. You want to save people, but these people will all die. Ah, ha, ha. The holy maiden's 2 hands slightly clasped together as she chanted an incantation. The light from her body enveloped the entire tree. She wanted to purify the heart of the tree. However, how could the demon tree be purified by the calming heart purification curse of a mere holy maiden after being in the extreme yin land for countless years? Absolutely not. Not only that. His power was about to break through the seal and he was about to absorb all the power in the land of absolute yin. He would be able to transform into a tree and become an adult. Once he became a monster, no one would be able to stop him. Ah, ha, ha. Don't waste your time. You can't stop me. The demon tree laughed maniacally. It was also at this time. An old man moved slightly and a ball of fire exploded on his body, crushing the demonic tree's wild laughter. The old man's eyebrows were red as he landed behind the holy maiden. Holy maiden, they've arrived. The holy maiden's lips paused, then said, Elder Xiong, do you really have to do this? Is there no other way? Elder Xiong shook his head. This may be the only way. Fatri sect definitely cannot let disciples of magic sect infiltrate. This is also the sect master's order. This was the only way to clear out the disciples of magic sect. The holy maiden said softly, all right, I understand. Bring them down. I will guard the demonic tree here. Rest assured, I will do everything in my power to stop his demonic heart from invading, Elder Xiong said, then I'll be troubling holy maiden. While they were talking, Elder Xiong looked at the surrounding young disciples and said, follow me. In another place. Devil sect. You brought him to the dark magic forest? It looks like. Ju Daoren wants us to clear out the disciples that we have sent. In the main hall of the devil sect. He had originally wanted to send his disciples to sneak into the Fatri sect for the examination and enter. He had wanted to get rid of Long Fei during this process, but he did not expect that something bad would happen. An elder said, Sect Master, according to the news Wu Qing sent back, Ju Daoren even sent out the Immortal Destiny Holy Maiden to protect the demonic tree. It seems like they are trying to reduce the number of casualties. An elder said, Sect Master, we have sent 300 people this time, we cannot just let them all die like this. Once we enter the dark magic forest, their demon hearts will be instantly exposed, and at that time. You're right. Disciples of magic sect cannot die just like that. There is an ancient devil tree in the dark magic forest. I checked the information on this tree and heard that it came from the ancient world, and it only became a tree because it obtained a drop of God's blood. It is probably the only one in the universal realm, and if we obtain it, it might be of great help to our cultivation. A wave of discussions swept through the hall. The Grand Master's eyes narrowed. Heaven's eye, go lie down. Whether or not we save the disciples we sent out is secondary. The most important thing is to have those exam candidates die. Not a single one of them can be left alive. Also, in the end, just bring that holy maiden back to me. If I turn the holy maiden of the Fatri sect into a demon dweller, then how would the righteous sects in the western regions view the Fatri sect? This time, Fatri sect's face will be swept across the floor. A man wearing a blood-red robe walked out. He clasped his hands together and said, As you command. God's devil city. Huff. He spat out a mouthful of black chi into the air. And then, he took another deep breath. Hualala. As he inhaled the energy into his body, his eyes began to shine with a dark light. With the God's devil city at the center, the surrounding 100 kilometers seemed as if they were on fire. There was nothing alive. Not even an ant. Suddenly, the monster inhaled violently once more. Hualala. Countless black threads flew into his mouth. Both of his eyes suddenly turned sinister. Black rays of light flashed in his eyes. His entire body quickly turned into a black mist as he disappeared into the air. He was headed towards the direction of the mountain range of Immortal Destiny. We're here. We're here. Zong Tianfeng said heavily as the idea controlled the immortal Peng to fly 100 meters in the air. Get ready. The idea moved. He directly placed the immortal rock back into the command medallion. Next. Shua. Hundreds of thousands of examinees instantly landed. With one hand on Su Su and the other on Lan Mai, the three of them landed on the ground as if they were floating. Tan Depao and Yang Jin faced each other. Yang Jin wanted to pull Tan Depao's hand, but Tan Depao shouted loudly, "Don't even think about it, you gay man." Yang Jin rolled his eyes at Tan Depao. At this time, he lowered his head to look at the massive coal below him, and his eyes were filled with shock. Looking at his surroundings, his expression suddenly changed. Dark magic forest? This? How could this be? Is there a mistake? Long Fei asked, "What dark magic forest? What do you know?" Yang Jin shook his head and did not say a word. When they were only a dozen or so meters away from the ground, a burst of wild laughter sounded out from the depths of dark magic forest, exploding on everyone's minds. "My food is here." Amidst his maniacal laughter, there were traces of calmness. However, it was too weak. Long Fei's mind was in a mess. He was still all right. After all, he had experienced many things and was extremely resolute. However, around him, many people had painful expressions on their faces. Some of them even had blood-red eyes and exuded a dense demonic aura. Demon dwellers. Disciples of magic sect. Ah! I can't bear it. Some people cried out in pain. The closer they got to the ground, the more unbearable it became. In the end, blood exploded from their 7 orifices, and their minds were shattered. Yang Jin was suddenly enlightened. There's a disciples of magic sect among the disciples in this assessment. Long Fei had already known this since a long time ago. Right now he didn't care too much about it, immediately reminding them, "Keep your heart at ease, don't let the demon note disturb your mind." The instant he landed on the ground, Long Fei sat cross-legged. Many people in the surroundings were bleeding from their 7 orifices. Incomparable pain. Those disciples of magic sect also quickly revealed their true colors. "Ha ha ha. As I said, you can't stop me." The demonic tree laughed maniacally. The holy maiden did not reply. Her hands formed a seal, drawing in the blood essence. Her eyes shone with a golden light. Buzz. The light directly covered the demon tree. The demon note was instantly blocked. "You did not hesitate to harm your own primordial spirit to protect these low-level martial arts training users? I don't understand." The holy maiden's face paled slightly. "Because there might be someone I love here." It was just that it was possible, and not certain. It was just that it was possible, and not certain. However, even if there was a slight possibility, she couldn't take the risk. In her previous life, she didn't do much. In this life, she had to protect it well. Thus, she did not hesitate to use her blood essence to release the power of her primordial spirit and imprison the ancient devil tree, but she had to pay a price for this imprisoning. The price was that her cultivation would regress. The ancient devil tree said blandly, "Ah, so infatuated. You dare to do such a thing without knowing for sure, and the dignified holy maiden of the Fatry sect is actually interested in a mortal. I really want to know who this mortal is and what kind of background he has, so I'm sorry, I'm going to break your seal-bound." Buzz. The ancient devil tree trembled. Several demonic leaves fell. The moment the demonic leaf landed on the ground, the air moved, transforming into one savage magical beast after another. Roar. Roar. The magical beasts roared as they walked towards the holy maiden. Incomparable savagery. The holy maiden's forehead tightened, but she did not panic. With a wave of her hand, she drew a semicircle in the air as she chanted an incantation. A golden light flashed as it revolved around her finger. Then, the saintess waved her hand. Buzz. A golden shield of light enveloped his body. Not only that, golden lights flashed out one by one. Swish, swish, swish. All the magical beasts that touched the golden light fell to the ground, their bodies turning into dust and disappearing. Tranquil heart mysterious technique? It seems like that old demoness Jing Shin really taught you a lot. In 100 years, from a little girl to such a powerful expert, I've underestimated you." Ancient Devil Tree looked at the Holy Maiden's golden shield and was stunned. But it's not enough. There's still a long way to go. As soon as he finished speaking, the Ancient Devil Tree suddenly trembled, and countless leaves from the towering tree fell down. At the same time, the entire dark magic forest began to tremble, and brutal roars came out from the depths of the forest. "There are magical beasts." Long Fei did not care about the others. Upon hearing the intimidating roar of the demonic beast, Long Fei's heart immediately became happy. It seems to not be weak. The experience points should be very rich, right? Tan De Pao said. "What kind of assessment is this?" "As soon as I started, it was so enchanting. I almost couldn't take it anymore and almost went crazy." Su Su and Lan Mai were still fine. They weren't distracted because of the demon notes just now. Yang Jin's eyes darkened. A beast summoned by the Ancient Devil Tree. "Seems like." Tan De Pao let out a heavy cry, and said, "Goldfur, what do you know? Hurry up and say it." Yang Jin shook his head and said, "I need to go and confirm." Finished. Yang Jin quickly entered the dark forest and disappeared. Tan De Pao was startled, and disdainfully said, "Goldfur, you bastard." Then, he looked at Long Fei and said, "Boss, what should we do? A lot of people died just now, and now that the living have been dispersed, should we hide as well?" They were surrounded by corpses. Other than the few disciples of Magic Sect S, most of the examinees were new. Dying just like that, this exam was a bit too cruel. Humans were like ants, and their lives were like grass. In this world of martial arts, life was truly worthless. Long Fei was a little unhappy in his heart. However, this was reality. No matter how unhappy he was, it was useless. Long Fei's eyes darkened as he stared into the depths of the forest, and said, "The demonic sound and the demonic beast's cries just now came from the depths of the forest. I want to go and take a look." Tan De Pao was startled, and immediately replied, "Understood." And then, Tan De Pao attacked with fire speed. Long Fei also quickly went deeper in. Su Su and Lan Mai followed closely behind Long Fei, and the three of them quickly rushed into the depths of dark magic forest. Just now, all 121 disciples of Magic Sect S were exposed, and all of them have been locked on. However, wasn't it a little too cruel for the Ancient Devil Tree to let a magic note kill more than 600 innocent people? Chu Qing softly said as he looked at Elder Xiong. Xiong Halian said coldly, "The world of martial arts is so cruel. If they can resist the Demon Sound's invasion, then they might become the Fatry Sect's disciples tomorrow." "All right. You're not allowed to talk about this ever again. Clean up those disciples of Magic Sect S and wait for the other disciples of Magic Sect S to show themselves. Remember, you can't be soft-hearted when dealing with disciples of Magic Sect, understand?" Xiong Halian said heavily. The 100 disciples around him shouted, "Yes sir." Qin Shuang said to Chu Qing softly, "Junior sister, this is the case with the martial arts training. Our mission is to kill the disciples of Magic Sect. After completing our mission, we will be able to enter the ruins of immortality to train. Isn't that the place you always wanted to go?" Zhang Yuanhang faintly said, "Senior fellow Qin is right. Man is like an ant, life is like a blade of grass. This is the world of martial arts, there is no logic to it." Chu Qing felt uncomfortable in her heart. Seeing those innocent people lying in a pool of blood made her heart hurt. It had to do with her character. She also knew that there was only one way to change the world, to change the status quo, and that was to become stronger. Only the powerhouse had the qualifications and the ability to change this world. Chu Qing followed Qin Shuang and the others and quickly entered the forest to kill Uncle Xiong. In another place, Zong Tianfeng's face was full of praise as he slightly bowed. Xiong Halian bellowed, "What have you done yet?" Zong Tianfeng's eyes flashed with a trace of fear, and he said, "It was blocked by the Beast Hill, if not I would have succeeded." Humph. Xiong Halian let out a heavy snort, "Don't find excuses for yourself. If you can't even handle such a small matter, what's the use of it?" At the same time, Xiong Halian secretly thought in his heart, "That madman called Crazy Wolf." Zong Tianfeng's voice shook, and said, "I know my wrongs, I'm doing my best to make up for it." That brat is currently in dark magic forest. I'm sure I know that refining fire. Xiong Hailian's eyes flashed a ray of light, and said, right in dark magic forest? Zong Tianfeng said, right here. This time, I will definitely not let you down. All right. Xiong Hailian's expression turned slightly better, and said, as long as you succeed, I'll definitely help you with the matter of you being transferred into the inner sect. Zong Tianfeng's eyes revealed joy, and he immediately said, I will definitely do my best. Then, Zong Tianfeng slowly retreated into the darkness, his eyes flashing with excitement. Elder of Inner House, ha ha ha. I will definitely become a Elder of Inner House. Long Fei, I definitely won't lose again this time, and I definitely won't let you escape. Xiong Hailian moved. In an instant, the speck of dark luminescence disappeared along with Zong Tianfeng. Rainbow refining fire. If I'm not wrong, it might be the God's Design Attic's refining fire. If I can obtain it, then I can enter the God's Design Attic. Universal Realms Treasury is the place where divine weapons are ranked the best. If I can enter, hey, what does a mere Horcrux's hill like you count as? Ha ha ha. Xiong Hailian laughed maniacally in his heart. He calmed his mind and cleared the shackles. There were more and more magical beasts, so to speak. They were densely packed as they constantly advanced towards the Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden bitterly held on. The ancient devil tree said, you won't be able to stop it. Let go. On the account that you're the disciple of the old demoness Jing Xin, I can spare your life. The Holy Maiden ignored him. The golden light around her body became even more intense, and her speed of attack also increased. The ancient devil tree's voice sank, and said, seems like you are really determined to oppose me. All right, then I won't be polite. Buzz. Rumble. The demonic roots moved and the ground cracked. He directly broke through the Holy Maiden's imprisonment. Outside of the roots, balls of demon chi emerged from the cracks and transformed into demonic beasts, looking very fierce. The howls of the demonic beasts made the entire dark magic forest tremble. You won't be able to protect them. Don't worry. I will bring their bodies here one by one. I will let you know if there is anyone you love there. Ha ha ha. The ancient devil tree laughed out wildly. The Holy Maiden's heart was in chaos. She did not expect that the ancient devil tree's roots would be able to break through the shackles she had released. However, at this time, she had no way to stop it. They could only defend the ancient devil tree. The Holy Maiden secretly said in her heart, Long Fei, you must definitely be all right. Achoo! 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 Long Fei sneezed 3 times consecutively as he mumbled, who would miss me so much? Su said with jealousy, did you meet a new woman? Lan Mai pursed his lips and smiled. Long Fei quibbled, how can that be? Aren't all the women I know all by my side? Humph. Su pouted her small mouth and said, don't think that I don't know. Last time in Factory Sect, didn't that Pharaoh-like elder sister come to you as a new acquaintance? Maybe she's here too, thinking of you. You guys sensed it just in time. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, your imagination is really rich. Lan Mai pulled Su's hand and said, Su, you don't need to worry about it, as long as we still have a spot in his heart, it will be fine. Lan Mai saw through everything. A man like Long Fei couldn't even be locked with 18 iron chains. It was not that he was trying to attract attention, but those flowers and plants would unconsciously lean onto him. Just like them, they would be attracted to Long Fei uncontrollably. It was as if Long Fei had some kind of magic power, causing people to think about him at a loss of food. Maybe this was his charm. Su slightly said, I know, that's what I want to do as well, but in my heart, it's a little difficult. At this moment, Tan De Pao suddenly shouted, Boss! Bang, bang, bang. A series of crushing sounds came from the front as towering trees were uprooted one by one. Every step forward caused the ground to tremble even more violently. A colossus was approaching. Long Fei's mind tensed up. He immediately shouted out, prepare to fight. Su and Lan Mai quickly increased the distance between them and entered a battle state. Hoo. Tan De Pao panted heavily. His entire body was drenched in sweat as he ran out, battered and exhausted, saying, big guy, a rank 9 beast. It's even stronger than the beasts we met in the first stage of the examination. While they were talking, Tan Dapao did not even look as he directly faced the sky and pulled the trigger. Swoosh swoosh. The 2 energy cannons were released. The sky suddenly exploded. At the same time, it also illuminated the dark sky, making it as clear as a mountain. The fur all over his body was like needles, and his appearance was ferocious, as if he was a hybrid monster. Oh my god! Susu's eyes flashed. Then, what exactly is that thing? Along with the 2 cannonballs' sounds, the dark magic forest trembled, and many people saw the huge magical beast. There's actually a launcher. Monster. Those were monsters. It's not a demon beast at all, it's a monster. Quick, run. What the hell is the Fatri sect doing? This is also an examination. Hurry up and run, don't talk about this anymore. The new disciples of Dark Magic Forest were scurrying all over the place, however. They simply could not walk out of the Dark Magic Forest, which was just a maze. If no one was leading the way, they would not be able to walk out of here. This was also the reason why Dark Magic Forest was selected. Not placed in any of the Disciples of Magic Sect S. In another place. Chu Qing looked at the gigantic demonic beast in the distance, and his gaze tensed up as he asked, "Can't Sister Holy Maiden hold on anymore?" Qin Shuang looked at the demonic beasts, his gaze becoming tense. "Looks like this year's rookies are going to all die." Zhang Yuanhang muttered, "I wonder if the young sect master will come." Chu Qing's eyes flashed, and said, "The Holy Maiden's fiancé?" "Young sect master Zhu Yuan," Qin Shuang said, "if it was him, even if it was a peak-level ancient deviltry, it would probably not be enough, right?" Chu Qing said, "Big Sister Holy Maiden and Young Sect Master are a match made in heaven. Young Sect Master will definitely come. I want to go find him." Qin Shuang's gaze tensed up. He saw Long Fei as his love rival, but in his heart, he admired Long Fei a lot, not to mention that Long Fei had saved them before. Zhang Yuanhang also said, "Count me in." Just as the 3 were about to leave, Xiong Halian berated them, "You guys don't have to handle the things over there, you just need to complete your hunting mission." Chu Qing said, "Clan elders, with the beasts, we will definitely not be able to handle those newbies, shouldn't we protect them?" Xiong Halian said coldly, "Your task is to kill the disciples of Magic Sect. I will naturally send people over to protect them." "Understood. If you dare to commit any evil deeds in the past, your task credit will be 0 this time. All of you are people who have hopes of entering the ruins of immortality to cultivate. I've chosen all of you because I have high hopes for you. Don't disappoint your master." Xiong Halian said solemnly. He could not allow anyone to go there, because Zong Tianfeng had already found his target. The fact that Zong Tianfeng attacked the newbie couldn't be spread out, otherwise it would affect him. Chu Qing wanted to say something, but was stopped by Qin Shuang. Their mission this time could be said to be giving out points, and they were also people that the sect focused on raising. If he offended Xiong Halian, then his task credit would truly be gone this time. Rumble. The goblin beast grabbed a huge tree that reached into the sky, and with its roots pulled out, it ruthlessly threw it at Tan Dapao, who had just fired a cannonball. This power was simply heaven-defying. Tan Dapao did not panic. He fired a series of cannon shots into the sky, and directly smashed that towering tree into pieces. "Fuck, you want to smash your grandfather to death. You are still far from it." Tan Dapao rubbed the bridge of his nose, looking proud of himself. But right at this moment, the demonic beast's eyes moved as it glared at him. Long Fei's gaze tightened, "Be careful." The 2 words green eyes popped out. The 2 words green eyes popped out. Buzz. A divine might burst out, crushing everything in its path. Buzz buzz buzz. His mind was in a mess. His sea of consciousness was like a violent storm, and his scalp was numb. Moreover, Tan Dapao, who was being stared at by it, seemed to be stopped by the body-securing curse. He did not move at all, he was just like a fool. Crap. His mind was stunned. Moreover, Tan Dapao's sea of consciousness had probably been completely crushed as well. Under the strength of 2 stages, Tan De Pao was basically unable to move an inch. Su. Long Fei shouted, and then moved, snapshot step. He raised his speed to the fastest speed possible. The idea moved, dragon sword. Wung. Rumble. The sword's cry was ear-piercing, directly destroying the demonic beast's gaze. Long Fei jumped up with all his might and said heavily, "Grandson, grandfather is here, you're here to mess with me." Su quickly caught up, and the cure was released onto the stage. The magical beast's pupils changed. Tan De Pao was drenched in cold sweat instantly, as if he had just returned from hell. He gulped down a few mouthfuls of saliva before muttering to himself as he looked at the demonic beast in the sky, "Damn, isn't this daddy just pretending? Can you let me finish this act?" They watched as Long Fei charged to the front and attracted the aggro of the demonic beasts. Tan De Pao quickly recovered, his eyes moved, and reminded him, "Boss, this guy's eyesight is very strong, do not look at him directly." While speaking, Tan De Pao quickly ran to the highest point, the corners of his mouth raised. "Damn it, you don't want me to act cool, right? I can't kill you." Roar. A roar. The beast locked onto Long Fei, hugged his two fists, and smashed towards Long Fei's head like a war axe. Crack, crack, crack. Thunder and lightning continued to crash down from above Long Fei's head with constant explosions. Long Fei's mind sank as he grasped the heavy sword. In that instant, his figure moved, leaping forward with a heavy leap. Boom. His body bounced up. Dragon sword. Buzz. The piercing sound of the swords flew above Long Fei's head. The powerful Zhenshulong sword charged forward and blocked the dual fists on the axe, then suddenly exploded with power. Wung. Rumble. Violent tremors exploded and a powerful shockwave immediately covered several kilometers, bringing with it raging winds. The dragon sword blocked this move for Long Fei, but Long Fei did not stop. He directly jumped onto the arm of the demonic beast, dragged his heavy sword with his right hand, and rushed forward as if flying. The eyes of the magical beast turned sinister. The power of the eye was released once again. F***CK. Do you think I would let you release your eye strength again? Tan De Pao moved, and his right arm exploded with a cracking sound. He lifted his right hand. With chili concoction. Ha ha ha. Whoosh. The shell shot out and landed right on the forehead of the magical beast, causing a cloud of hot pepper water to explode. The power of his pupils was released, but he couldn't see through the mist of the trash water at all. Moreover, not even half a second had passed before the demonic beast's tears began to gush out, as if it was about to cry because of something. Woo woo. Woo woo. His eyes turned red and bloodshot. At this time, Long Fei held his breath, narrowed his eyes, and slightly moved his right hand, heavy sword. Kill. The strength of his right hand was very gentle. It was as if he had no strength at all. Furthermore, a heavy sword that weighed tens of thousands of jin was as light as a tree branch, and there was no weight to be seen. He slashed out. Long Fei leaped up. His body directly passed through the head of the magical beast, and with a heavy sound, he cried out, "Fall down." As soon as his voice faded, Hualala. A chain of healing powers appeared on his head, which Su released just in case he got hurt. In another place, Lan Mai grasped his weapon tightly and kept his guard up, preventing any other demonic beast from launching a sneak attack, or preparing to support Long Fei at any time. Rumble. 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 The magical beast's body exploded, and the weapon's head exploded, and its body toppled to the ground. It was also at this time. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 180,000 experience points for killing a rank 9 beast, 100,000 true spiritual value, and 0 universal value. None of the treasures dropped. However, the experience of slashing out 100,000 points in one slash was quite abundant. Long Fei landed on the ground. With a flick of his right hand, the heavy sword returned to its sheath. Long Fei thought in his heart, "I feel more and more that the elder swordsman is too strong. 3 months of bitter training is worth more than anything." That strike did not have any moves. However, Long Fei felt that it was like there was an unlimited number of moves, and all of the sword moves seemed to be inside. It was very strange. Long Fei's master had always been the system, and had all sorts of data. He had never officially learned the things that the powerhouse of this world had taught him. They had always thought that digitization was everything. But from the looks of it, he still had a lot of ways to go. There were too many powerhouse in this world, too many of them. At least. In a match with elder swordsmen, he might not even be able to withstand one move even if he used all his strength. One strike in 1 second. Rub Tan Dapao grinned, his face full of jealousy and envy. He muttered to himself, I wanted to act cool, but I didn't expect myself to be unable to do anything in front of boss. You can only pretend to be bitter. In the distance. That magical beast died. Who's so amazing? Are there any stronger rookies here this year? I noticed it just now. A sword. The sword intent is astonishing. Countless people were discussing. Other than the new disciples, there were also many disciples and elders of the Fatri sect. After all, the matter of the disciples of magic sect being cleared was something that alarmed everyone in Saints Hill. Many people paid attention to his every move. Your magical beast was killed. The Holy Maiden smiled. It seems that you didn't succeed. Killing a demonic beast that was transformed from an ancient devil tree would consume a demonic tree's strength. As long as she killed more, the pressure on her side would lessen. The Holy Maiden thought to herself, it should be the elder Seong and the others. Only the people from Fatri sect could kill the beasts. It was impossible for him to be a new disciple. Of course. The Holy Maiden's heart throbbed a little, thinking of a person. Rumble. Suddenly, the ancient devil tree trembled again. He was not in a good mood and said, Cut my roots. Do you think this is the end? Don't worry, this is just the beginning. If you want to survive here, then let's see just how strong he is. The ground shook violently. At the same time, the ancient devil tree stared at the Holy Maiden and said, You just watch, everyone in Dark Magic Forest will die. You're the last one. 9 Hell Evil, help me control it. Demon Array, activate. With the release of the demonic sound, the ancient devil tree's roots were like ghost soldiers walking out from the ground, constantly breaking through the shackles the Holy Maiden had released, and rushing out of the shackles one by one. With the release of the demonic sound, the ancient devil tree's roots were like ghost soldiers walking out from the ground, constantly breaking through the shackles the Holy Maiden had released, and rushing out of the shackles one by one. Moreover, in that instant, the roots grew and all sorts of powerful magical beasts began to appear, all of them above the 9th rank. In half a minute, they were surrounded by magical beasts. One was more brutal than the other. The entire aura of the dark magic forest was invaded and occupied by the devil aura, allowing the hidden disciples of the disciples of magic sectes to hide their auras even better. Everyone here has to die. Turn them all into my nourishment. The demonic sound of an ancient devil tree resounded in the dark magic forest. At the same time, the Holy Maiden's eyes narrowed. Drip, drip. 2 more drops of blood essence fell down as he chanted. The golden light around his body turned into sword shadows, which then disappeared into the air. Buzz. A sword chime rang out. This is bad. Seong Halian frowned, he secretly trembled. Tranquil heart sword shadow, seems like the Holy Maiden has reached her limit. Then, Seong Halian said in a heavy voice, Pass on my order, clean up the disciples of magic sect quickly. Once you have finished cleaning up, immediately evacuate the dark magic forest. Chu Qing immediately asked, What about those newbies? Seong Halian said solemnly, Right now, they don't have to care that much. This might just be their lives. Before he finished speaking, Chu Qing ran out. Seong Halian's eyes turned sinister. Where are you going? Chu Qing did not answer and disappeared in a flash. Qin Shuang immediately said, Clan Elder, I will go and chase her back. I'll go too. Seong Halian still did not agree, and the two of them ran out. Seong Halian was annoyed. How dare you, rebel? Just then, a disciple of the Fatri sect ran over and said anxiously, Clan Elder, this is bad, the paths in the dark magic forest have all changed, the coordinates we left behind are all gone. The reason why they could not get lost in dark magic forest was because they had a road sign that only the disciples of Fatri sect could understand. Now that the road sign was gone, The dark magic forest had become a true maze. Seong Halian was not in a rush, even if the signpost on the ground was gone, but what about the sky? No matter how capable the ancient devil tree was, could it seal the sky? Seong Halian slightly said, "What are you panicking for? Quickly clean up, disciples of magic sect. As for the way out, I have my own ways. Hurry up and go." All of the disciples clasped their hands and quickly left. Seong Halian thought, "It's fine if the new disciples don't come out, if they all die here, no one will notice it." But Seong Halian was a little unhappy. He did not know why Zong Tianfeng had yet to make a move. "Trash. Do you want me to do something for such a small matter?" Seong Halian was extremely dissatisfied with Zong Tianfeng, and seeing that he still had some relation with him, he had already told him to scram. "Looks like I have to do it myself." Seong Halian's figure faintly moved. "Holy sha *t. Boss, did you feel it? Demonic chi." Incomparable thick demonic energy. Tan Dapao's expression shook, his nose took a whiff, and felt the strong demonic chi coming closer and closer from the depths of the forest. Susu asked, "What exactly is inside?" Lan Mai said, "Factory sect doesn't care about our safety even if we are thrown in a place like this. This is an examination, not a death sentence." "Boss." Long Fei grinned and said, "I was just worried that there wouldn't be a boss to deal with." And then Long Fei clenched his fists, causing the joints in his body to crack, and said, "No matter who's inside, we'll know after we kill our way in." "Cannon," Tan Dapao immediately replied, "I'm here." Long Fei said, "Let's take over the high ground first, the firepower attraction and support." Tan Dapao replied, "Understood." Then he quickly jumped into the forest. Long Fei looked at Su Su and said, "Follow behind me, don't lean too close to me. At the same time, you also need to know the positions of Tan Dapao and Lan Mai. Lan Mai, you are in charge of protection and vigilance." "Yes, sir," the two girls said at the same time. Long Fei laughed excitedly. "Who cares what kind of assessment you are, what is inside you? I only have one word, I'm done for." And then the three of them also quickly jumped into the forest. Rumble. Rumble. The sound shook the sky, the rocks shattered, and the towering trees were instantly uprooted. "Help. I don't want to play, I want to go home, I want to go home. I don't want to take the examination, I don't want to go to factory sect. I'm going out. Let me out. Ah!" Miserable cries for help rang out unceasingly. The examinees who were hiding in the dark magic forest were like flies that were scurrying all over the place. As long as they were targeted by the magical beasts, they would be crushed in an instant. Their bodies were like fried dough twigs, continuously being transported to the ancient devil trees. The ancient devil tree's roots were stabbing into their bodies madly, absorbing their true spirit and profound chi. This was his nourishment, and during the process, the ancient devil tree was also changing rapidly. It continued to grow stronger. It felt like his primordial spirit was breaking through his body. The holy maiden felt the change in the ancient devil tree and frowned. "I've already sent the signal, why are you still here?" The ancient devil tree sneered, "It's useless, they can't escape. They are all my nutrients, after I absorb all of them, I will be able to cultivate and become an adult." "Ha ha ha," the holy maiden said with a heavy voice, "Don't even think about it." "Humph." The ancient devil tree said, "Even the old demoness Jing Xin was unable to stop me. Do you think you can? Furthermore, if my master was still here, I would have become an adult long ago." Sigh. What a pity. It's a pity that he was suppressed. I escaped ancient world like a stray dog and hid here for 1,000,000,000 years, living a miserable life. However, it's all right, I'll soon be able to cultivate it. Ha ha ha. The ancient devil tree was abnormally excited, and the pressure he exerted on the holy maiden became stronger and stronger. The holy maiden's forehead broke out in a cold sweat. His body seemed to be trembling. She was on the verge of collapsing. At this moment, factory sect. At the bottom of the Holy Land, in a secret cave. Mr. Celestial slightly nodded. The stone door of the abode automatically opened. Ju Daoren slightly said, "Yuana, the holy maiden won't be able to hold on much longer. It's up to you now." In that instant, a ray of golden light shot out from the cave and instantly landed in front of Ju Daoren. As his voice faded, a golden light flashed out. Ju Daoren looked at the distant figure and smiled. I have already created the conditions for you. Whether or not you can take it all depends on yourself. However, a life and death battle, this should be enough to take him down, right? She has a power that can help people transcend everything. Ha ha ha. Fire! Fire! Long Fei roared again. Boom! Boom! The two cannons accurately hit one of the level 9 beast's heads. The beast swept its eyes across and stared at Tan De Pao, who was standing high up in the sky. Crack! Rumble! A towering tree was pulled up, and in an instant, it smashed towards Tan De Pao. Tan De Pao grinned and laughed, saying, "Just here? It's not enough." He raised his right arm towards the sky and shot out several shots, directly blowing up that towering tree into dust and causing it to fall from the sky. Hee hee. Do you know the power of the launcher? Tan De Pao was pleased with himself. However, the magical beast suddenly rubbed its hands together and dived directly into the ground. It lowered its body slightly and supported itself with its feet. Tan De Pao's expression changed, and said straightforwardly, "Your sister, this father will not get close." After being faked, he immediately ran, afraid that his mind and consciousness would be shaken just now. The feeling of being nailed to the ground like a fool was like waiting for death. However, without waiting for the demonic beast to charge, Long Fei moved his heavy sword. Shua! The heavy sword, edgeless, suddenly slashed down. A sword light flashed. A magical beast's arm was taken off. Awoo! With a great pain, the demonic beast gave up trying to kill Tan De Pao. Its eyes darkened and a power that could break one's mind and heart was released from its devilish fiery eyes. Buzz! Long Fei's pupils tightened as he shouted at Su Su, "Back off!" His entire body also instantly leaped up. Dodge this attack. A light blue figure moved, just like a light wave in the ocean. With the sea god's trident in hand, it leaped forward with a light body. In the sky, he held the sea god's trident with both hands and pierced it toward the magical beast's head. Buzz! The power of a blood vein erupted from her body. Hualala! 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 His entire body went through the beast, from mid-air to the ground, launching a sleigh. Woo-ow! Asterisk with a blood-curdling scream, the beast was split into two, and System Beepes appeared in Long Fei's mind. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Beast for obtaining 20,000 experience, 180,000 true spiritual value, and 0 universal value. Damn! What a beautiful strike! Long Fei could not help but praise him. Looking at the fine clothes, Lan Mai felt that he had become a completely different person when fighting. Long Fei muttered in his heart, "Descendant of Holy General is just not the same." Su Su was also full of smiles as he replied, "Of course. Big sister Lan Mai is extremely strong." Tan De Pao saw that Lan Mai had taken care of the beast in one move, and his eyes almost fell to the ground. With a face of shock, he ran to Long Fei's side and said, "Boss, I feel like I'm stronger than you." Long Fei rolled his eyes at him. At this moment, just before the magical beast fell to the ground, it let out a blood-curdling screech, as a large group of magical beasts came charging towards them. Long Fei frowned. Tan De Pao's face also darkened, and said, "At least a dozen, boss. This lineup is a little huge." Long Fei smiled slightly, and said, "Then it's over. One at a time." Long Fei wanted to challenge his limits. He also wanted to see the limit of the sword intent that the elder swordsman had taught him. And then again, Lan Mai, Su Su, Tan De Pao, and the others had not truly displayed their strength yet, so Long Fei wanted to see how strong they had become. Tan De Pao clenched his fists tightly. "I'll also fight one against one later." Su Su pointed to a beast not far away that had sent a gigantic tree that could touch the sky, and said, "Your chance to show off has come." Go! Tan De Pao's face turned cold, his scalp felt a little numb as he muttered, This guy, isn't he too fierce?" Long Fei took a step forward. However, Tan De Pao laughed, "Boss, I'll go first." He didn't look for a high vantage point. Instead, he charged straight at it. "Grandson, Let's see how Grandpa will toy you to death. Tan Dapao's continuous barrage of heavy cannons was not harmful, but was rather foggy. All kinds of chili concoction, garlic essence, and all sorts of pungent smell filled the air. Rumble. Rumble. Another one. Lan Mai rushed over and said, "I'll do it." Long Fei moved and said, "Dragon sword." Buzz buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The dragon sword moved and quickly flew out. Long Fei wanted to know their strength, so he didn't want to miss any of their experience. This demon beast only had a few million experience points. How could he let it go? Of course not. As long as Dragon's sword dealt damage, then Long Fei could obtain experience points. This was the advantage of the system. It was as if someone was helping him farm monsters. Rumble. He once more charged out from another side, charging out with 3 magical beasts. Long Fei's right hand moved, and the heavy sword was slightly raised. As he raised the sword into the air, he remained motionless, but with the corners of his mouth raised, he said, "Come," Susu said, "then what about me?" Long Fei said loudly, "Stay where you are, pay attention to the treatment. The 3 of us must definitely not let the beasts near Susu." Lan Mai and Tan Dapao answered loudly, "Understood." The 4 of them formed a team. The division of labor is clear. The most important thing was to protect Susu. As long as they could protect this wet nurse, they would be able to deal endless damage. The team was cruel. The magical beasts' levels were also getting higher and higher. They started at the early 9th rank, then the intermediate level, then the advanced level, and this wasn't the most powerful of magical beasts. Tan Dapao was barely able to hold on, but he could only take on 1 beast at most. If there were too many of them, he would be chased down, and he could only rely on his gorilla hit to counterattack. Lan Mai was much stronger than Long Fei had imagined. She could fight against 3 demon beasts by herself, but the louder the sound, the more magical beasts attracted her to join in. There were already 10 or so magical beasts surrounding her. Very passive. Danger lurked in every direction. On Long Fei's side. Other than Susu, who could find his location, no one else could. They were completely surrounded by the magical beasts. However, he was the most resistant. Even if there were 10 or so magical beasts by his side, he would still be able to survive. From time to time, he would even take out a magical beast. However, Long Fei was after all, just a mortal body. He wasn't made of iron, nor was he made of steel, and after a long time, he couldn't endure it any longer and could only be pressed down on the ground and rub against it. The encirclement was shrinking. Susu wasn't in any danger, but he was the busiest one, and he also consumed the most true spiritual value. "Mammy," Tan Dapao screamed. Susu immediately released a cure. "Stop screaming, you are so noisy. Look at big sister Lan Mai and big brother Long Fei, you only have a few beasts by your side," Tan Dapao said bitterly. "Sis, I really can't take it anymore." Susu didn't care. Long Fei shouted out, "Is it done yet?" Tan Dapao said, "It's about time." Lan Mai also said, "I'm pretty much heavily injured." Long Fei said heavily, "The 2 of you, run to my side." Dragon sword. Wang. Once the Genshulong sword flew up to the sky, a circular sword chi came out violently, covering all of the demonic beasts. Kill. Kill. Rumble. Rumble. Wherever the sword chi went, not a single blade of grass grew. Those mountainous magical beasts were instantly chopped into fine powder by the dragon sword. Hualala. One by one, the beasts collapsed. At this time, the system beep in Long Fei's mind exploded. Ding, 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 ding. The experience points grew crazily. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level. Level 3 Celestial Phenomenon. Huff. S personal attribute had changed, and not only did his health point change, his true spiritual value had also recovered in an instant. This is great. Long Fei stretched out his hands and laughed excitedly. There was nothing better than leveling up. Tan Dapao sat on the ground, exhausted, and said, "Boss, you still feel good about this? I really admire you. It's been 3 whole days. My bones are going to break. We can't fight anymore. 3 days. For a whole 3 days, Long Fei and the other 3 had not rested at all as they continued to kill non-stop. They were surrounded by the corpses of magical beasts. It was like a rectangular killing field. Lan Mai replied, "I have no problems." Long Fei said, "Did you see that? Canon, you are a man after all. How can you say you are tired?" Tan Dapao looked at Lan Mai and asked bitterly, "Can I compete with her? She was completely a monster. Just look at her after she recovered from her cultivation. Who could match up to her speed in breaking through? Her strength. She has never seen her move before. If it wasn't for me calling you boss, you wouldn't even be as fierce as eldest sister-in-law. What harm?" This was true. Lan Mai's breakthrough speed was simply too fast. His improvement was akin to flying. As expected, descendant of Holy General was not faked out of black and white. Lan Mai slightly said, "No, I'm still far from talking about his opponent." Lan Mai knew clearly in his heart. Long Fei's strength was something that she completely could not understand, and she would never discover Long Fei's weakness, nor would she ever discover that he said he was tired, and that he could not persevere. Perhaps that was his charm. Long Fei laughed, "Let's not talk about this anymore." Lan Mai also recovered his expression and said, "Su Su's true spiritual value is still a bit weak, why don't we rest for a bit?" According to Su Su's personality, she would definitely run up when she saw them stop, but she did not do so this time. Instead, she sat cross-legged and quickly absorbed the true spirit of heaven and earth, recovering her true spiritual value as quickly as possible. Long Fei nodded and said, "Okay, let's rest for a while." As if being released, Tan Dapao's entire body fell to the ground, comfortable. However, on the hillside, a single magical beast holding a giant wooden club had a bloody glow in its eyes. Behind it were over 100 magical beasts, all of which had blood-red glints in their eyes. The wooden stick shook. Rumble. The mountainside instantly cracked, and like an earthquake, the cracks quickly extended towards the valley where Long Fei was. Long Fei's pupils contracted, he leaped up and saw the demonic beast at the side of the hill. Gold light shone. "Little boss?" Rumble. 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 The valley shook and the dark magic forest became abnormal. Long Fei's heart sank. In these few days, all the beasts he encountered were level 9, but looking at the demonic energy coming from afar, it was obvious that these beasts were level 9. Tan Dapao stood up instantly, and after hearing the trembling sound, he said, "Damn, are you done yet?" Lan Mai looked at Long Fei, and said, "This time, the realm of the demonic beast is even higher." Tan Dapao's pupils tightened, and said, "Could it be a immortal stage demon beast? Damn, this. Do you want us all to die here?" It could be said that most of the new disciples had died in the last few days. The rest was either good hiding or luck. There were less than 10,000 disciples that remained after 3 days of examination for the million disciples. In such a large corner of dark magic forest, they were all shivering. There were only a few like Long Fei who resisted with all their might. Long Fei did not even think about it, and said, "Withdraw." Tan Dapao stared blankly for a moment, then said, "Boss, did I hear wrongly?" Long Fei gave a loud, heavy shout, "Retreat." Lan Mai and Tan Dapao reacted, immediately rushing to Su Su's side, and said, "Sesame, quickly retreat." Rumble. On the other side of the valley. Suddenly, another immortal stage beast swung its wooden staff, and then another 100 of them came charging down. Rumble. Rumble. There were magical beasts everywhere. Furthermore, many of them were in the immortal stage realm, and the beasts on the surrounding hills had reached the first level of the immortal stage. They stood guard in 4 different directions like 4 war gods. Surrounded and killed. In the dark. Heh. You're finally surrounded, right? For this moment, I have waited patiently for 3 days and 3 nights. Zong Tianfeng laughed excitedly. Long Fei and the others being surrounded was also his doing. For the past 3 days, he had been paying attention to Long Fei. Although his cultivation level wasn't high, Long Fei's strength was extremely terrifying. Furthermore, he had an unfathomable dragon sword, so Zong Tianfeng wasn't absolutely confident. However, he knew, as long as Long Fei was still in Dark Magic Forest, he would have the chance. Then it would definitely be able to kill Long Fei. Now the time had come. Boss, we're surrounded. Tan Dapao muttered. Susu said, damned cannon, no need for you to say anything, we all know. Lan Mai's brows tightened, and said, what do we do now? Long Fei said lightly, there's no other way, we can only. Before he could finish his sentence, he found another spot on the hillside. 3 figures ran down. Long Fei was startled. Susu took the lead and said, it's big sister Chu Qing. Chu Qing looked at Long Fei and said, you guys are here indeed. Long Fei said, why do you all still dare to come? This valley has been surrounded by magical beasts. Chu Qing was not anxious at all. Senior brother Zheng, send a signal for Elder Xiong and the rest to come here. Elder Xiong is a god's holy state. It is not a problem to deal with these magical beasts. Zhang Yuanhang nodded, and immediately sent a signal to the sky. Boom! The signal detonator exploded in midair. In the distance, Xiong Halian raised his eyes coldly, turned and looked at the factory sect disciples that wanted to attack, and said, our mission is to clear out the disciples of magic sect, and no one is allowed to go if they are not there to save people. Do you understand? If anyone dares to disobey my orders, then this time I don't have any task credit. Xiong Halian knew of Zong Tianfeng's plan. He definitely wouldn't let anyone destroy it at this point. Zong Tianfeng had waited for 3 days, and he, Xiong Halian, had also waited for 3 days. Long Fei smiled and said, seems like the signal flare is not effective. Chu Qing frowned, could it be that Elder Xiong didn't see it? Long Fei said, even if you saw it, it would be too late. The magical beast army had already charged down. They had no way out. Long Fei said in a heavy voice. Chu Qing, Brother Qin, Brother Zheng, the 3 of you protect Susu. Chu Qing immediately asked, then what about the 3 of you? Long Fei said, let's open up a path, let's kill our way out. Qin Shuang was startled, and said, you guys lead the way? Brother Long, I don't doubt your strength, but are the 2 of them stronger than us? Long Fei said, right now, I might not be as powerful as you, but soon, their strength will be stronger than yours. Long Fei glanced at Lan Mai and Tan Dapao and said, Azure Dragon War God, open. The 2 ideas moved. The Azure Dragon War God's armor was released, and in an instant, the 3 people's azure light flashed, and their battle clothes seemed to flash like dragon scales. Their cultivation, power, speed, seemed to explode. When he opened his Azure Dragon War God's clothes, the 3 of them seemed to have evolved and mutated. When he opened his Azure Dragon War God's clothes, the 3 of them seemed to have evolved and mutated. The auras radiating from the 3 of them were exceptionally different. They carried the aura of dragons and the domineering aura of killing intent. The 2 powers intertwined together to form a visible green halo. It was as if they were wearing divine treasures. Azure Dragon War God's robe. The materials for the Sword of War God, the infusion of the green dragon's power, and the fusion of the system's secret technique, making technique. In the past, the power of the battle uniform was very simple, it was either a defensive type or an offensive type. Right now, the Azure Dragon War God's clothes are different, its power, speed, and defense are all perfectly combined together. He could both do the output and carry the tank. Chu Qing, Qin Shuang, and Zhang Yuanhang were all stunned when the battle god's robe appeared on their bodies. Wow! Brother Long, what are you wearing? Isn't this too cool? Incredible! Is your armor a divine treasure? 1 is 3. My God, it is even more powerful than the flowing immortal golden silk armor worn by the factory sect's disciples of secret sect. Awesome, too handsome. There was a secret organization in the factory sect that only the most elite people could enter. It was called the Secret Sect. Only the disciples of Secret Sect would have the qualifications to obtain the flowing immortal gold silk armor. This kind of armor's defense, strength, could all be said to be at the top of the immortal stage's divine treasures. Even the divine treasures on the Elder of Inner Houses could not compare to it. However, the Azure Dragon War God's robe on Long Fei's body was not inferior in any way. Long Fei grinned and said, when I have time next time, I'll help you guys with a few things. Zhang Yuanhang's eyes flashed, and he said, Brother Long Fei, You're the one who said that, I'm serious now. Chu Qing also said, I want it too. Qin Shuang bit his lips. Although he didn't want to owe Long Fei anymore, but the temptation of the battle god's robe was too great. He couldn't help but say, give me one too. Long Fei said straightforwardly, no problem, but that is, if we can escape from here. There were simply too many magical beasts around. Even if Long Fei and the others had War God's robe, it would not be easy for them to rush out of the demon beast formation. 7 people against 1,000 magical beasts. This was not a normal difficulty. Qin Shuang clenched his fists, I will definitely rush out. Chu Qing also innocently said, I believe that Elder Xiong will also quickly rush over. Long Fei laughed. Reinforcements. With his cultivation level, he never expected that with the sound of the god's holy state's distress signal, it would arrive in less than half a minute. It had already been a few minutes and there was still no sound, which showed that the so-called Elder Xiong did not have any intentions of saving them. Long Fei did not hold any hope. He glanced at Lan Mai and Tan De Pao and asked, Are you ready? Lan Mai and Tan De Pao nodded heavily. Long Fei looked at the incoming beasts and shouted, Kill! Whoosh! 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 3 voices shot out like a trident. Buzz! A light dragon's roar exploded in the air as the power of the Azure Dragon War God's robe completely exploded outwards. Long Fei was like a madman that did not care about his life, as he charged into the midst of the magical beasts and started to madly trample on them. Moreover, although it looked like Long Fei and the others were surrounded, they felt like this group of beasts were being ruthlessly trampled on by Long Fei and the others. Quite the opposite. Qin Shuang and the others were all dumbfounded. You can do this. Holy Sha *T. My previous 3,670 combat experience seems to be fake. The 3 of them watched in a daze, they had never seen Long Fei's way of fighting before. What are you waiting for? Follow our footsteps and quickly charge out of the valley. With a loud sound, the wings of Long Fei's war god shirt on his back moved, and he flew into the air, striking a magical beast hard. Rumble. The head of that magical beast exploded. At the same time, the other beast swept its front claws fiercely, slapping Long Fei on his back. Bam! The claw broke and a claw mark appeared on the Azure Dragon War God's clothes. Although Long Fei wasn't heavily injured, his entire body was smacked down from the sky. Buzz! A light sound. At this moment, the Azure Dragon War God's robe on Susu's body was also released. She seemed to have turned into a fairy and with a flash, covered Long Fei directly. They couldn't see it, but the consumption of health point above Long Fei's head instantly increased. This cure. Invincible. The 3 stared blankly. Ancient secret cure? He actually reached such a level. His injuries were healed in an instant. This is unbelievable. These 4. Why do I feel that their cultivation is not high, but they are much stronger than us? I have a feeling that I'm very weak. Zheng Yuanhang muttered. This was too much of a blow. Qin Shuang and Chu Qing had the same feeling. At the same time, they understood one thing in their hearts, that after this assessment, no one would ever call East Imperial City a piece of trash again. Long Fei was proving this. Moreover, the 3 of them believed that Long Fei would definitely be able to do it. Qin Shuang reacted and immediately said, Let's go. The 4 of them quickly chased after him. It seems like you don't get what you want. Holy Maiden looked at the ancient devil tree and said indifferently. The surrounding corpses were quickly being absorbed by the ancient devil tree, but she also felt that the ancient devil tree's power was being consumed in a large amount of energy. In other words, the magical beasts he summoned were constantly dying. They were being obstructed. The ancient devil tree sneered and said, although there are obstructions, the result will not change. In the end, everyone here will die. Same thing. Including you. The Holy Maiden replied, You are underestimating the Fatri sect. Since we dared to come here, we must have made some preparations. I advise you to give up. This is the only way for you to survive. Give up. Ha ha ha. I never give up the word in my world. The ancient devil tree laughed out wildly. This was what his former master had said. He would always remember this. Following that, the ancient devil tree said indifferently, "Don't be anxious, I have even more powerful people. In addition, let me remind you, from the beginning to the end, your factory sect's elder did not make a move. It was only a few youths who blocked them, so no matter how strong this group of people are, they wouldn't be able to hold on for long." Then, the strength from the ancient devil tree surged again. Boom! Boom! The two enormous roots broke through the shackles. Next, it was a fully armored, magical beast covered in immortal light. The ancient devil tree sneered, "Go, kill him for me." The amount of beasts in the army continued to increase, and the speed of Long Fei and the others' breakthroughs became slower and slower. The amount of beasts in the army continued to increase, and the speed of Long Fei and the others' breakthroughs became slower and slower. Moreover, from beginning to end, Xiong Halian and the others had never appeared. Chu Qing and Qin Shuang's signal detonators were released, but the result was still the same. Xiong Halian did not appear. And no other disciples from the factory sect appeared as well. However, the good thing was, Long Fei and the rest of the disciples who took the examination managed to attract all the demonic beasts in Dark Magic Forest, and the other disciples managed to survive. However, no one knew what had happened. No one knew what Long Fei was currently going through either. He couldn't hold on any longer. He was on the verge of collapsing. The Azure Dragon War God's clothes were torn. Its defense was very strong, but it wasn't invincible. If not for this armor, Long Fei and the others would have died long ago. Next time I have to develop a stronger battle uniform set. Long Fei looked at the hole in his chest. The claw marks had cut open his clothes, and his claws were stuck on his battle clothes. If he advanced just a little more, his stomach would have been ripped open. Lan Mai and Tan De Pao's situation was about the same. In addition to the days and nights of battle of exhaustion, Tan De Pao was obviously holding on with all his might. Even descendant of Holy General would not be able to withstand such a battle. Roar! With a roar, celestial light pierced through the sky. Similarly, golden light flashed. Long Fei's heart tensed up. The stronger beasts are coming. Tan De Pao looked at Long Fei and said, "Boss, why don't I go?" Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately said, "If you're going, it's me. I, Long Fei, would never send my own brothers to their deaths." Tan De Pao lowered his head slightly and clenched his fists. Qin Shuang walked over. His body was also covered in wounds, and on his left shoulder and right arm, there were deep wounds that could be seen through bone. He said, "Brother Long, looks like an even stronger demon beast has appeared. What do we do?" They wouldn't be able to handle this kind of situation. If they had an even more powerful magical beast, they wouldn't be able to take it. Long Fei frowned, his brain spinning so fast that it could fly, but he did not come up with a good idea. They were too tired now. Susu's face was pale white. The breath of true spirit in the pubes had already dried up and was unable to release even a single strand of cure. Having lost this wet nurse, it became even more difficult for them. "Is there nothing we can do?" Long Fei's heart sank. Zhang Yuanhang said, "I just don't know what the elder Xiong is doing. You're still not here even after so long?" Chu Qing's face was also anxious as he said, "Right now, only the elder Xiong and the others can save us. We've used up all the signal detonators, why don't we go and call them?" They even held hope for Xiong Halian. But they simply did not know what Xiong Halian was thinking in his heart. At this moment, space flashed. A figure appeared in front of Long Fei. Long Fei suddenly stood up and stared at him. Zong Tianfeng. Heh. Zong Tianfeng smiled slightly and said, "Long Fei, do you want to escape?" Buzz buzz. The Zhenshulong sword began to buzz. Zong Tianfeng was not afraid in the slightest as he said, "This is only a clone of mine, it's useless even if you kill me. And right now, I just have to save you." Chu Qing looked at Zong Tianfeng's clone and said, "Aren't you outer door presbyter? Go inform the elder Xiong and have them come over to provide support." Zong Tianfeng laughed complacently and looked at Long Fei, "That's fine, but the condition is that you have to hand over what I want, otherwise, you guys will have to die here." Qin Shuang's eyes went cold as he scolded, "Elder Kang, what do you mean? As an elder of the Fatri sect, you have an obligation and must seek for help. This is the responsibility of the disciples of the Fatri sect." Zong Tianfeng sneered and said, "Don't talk about this with me. Who are you two right now? You're just an ant in a desperate situation. All you need to do is wait for the next wave of attacks and all of you will die. Now, as long as you hand over what I want, I will immediately go inform Elder Xiong and I guarantee that I will bring him here." It appeared at this moment. Zong Tianfeng was absolutely sure that he could take Long Fei down. Moreover, Long Fei was completely out of food. He had used up all of the techniques and treasures that he could use, so he had no other choice. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose as he said indifferently, "This is the reason why Elder Xiong did not come to provide support, right? You are working for the Elder Xiong." Zong Tianfeng's gaze tightened and his face darkened. He pretended to be calm as he said, "Why isn't it important for me to do anything? The important thing is that only I can call for reinforcements and only I can save you. Long Fei, do you have any other choice?" Arrogant. This time, he would definitely eat Long Fei. Chu Qing looked at Long Fei and asked, "What exactly is this thing?" Long Fei did not reply. He knew that even if he gave the God's Design token to Zong Tianfeng, he would not be able to save them. Moreover, once Xiong Halian obtained the God's Design token, he would definitely not let a third party know about this matter, and even Zong Tianfeng would die. God's Design Token S, the person who obtains the order badge will be qualified to enter God's Design Attic to train. It could be said, no divine treasure could compare to the God's Design token, so its value was easy to imagine. Xiong Halian would never let anyone know. Then again, the God's Design token had a path to the God's Design Attic, so if he wanted to save the Sky Sword spirit, he had to go to the God's Design Attic. Roar! With another heavy roar, the surrounding magical beasts began to move. Zong Tianfeng said, "Long Fei, you have no other choice. If you want to live, hand over the thing." Long Fei said, "Save me? Do you think I would believe it?" Zong Tianfeng's face sank, and said, "What do you mean?" Long Fei smirked and said, "Dragon sword." Buzz. The dragon sword moved and slashed downwards. Long Fei said at the same time, "You want the refining fire? Have your master come in person." Boom. The sword slashed apart Zong Tianfeng's clone. In the dark, Zong Tianfeng was so angry that his entire body was trembling. "You ungrateful bastard, do you want to die? Then go to hell." Just when he was angry, a cold voice came from behind him. "It seems like you failed again." His voice was cold. Zong Tianfeng's pupils constricted as he instantly knelt on the ground. "Uncle Xiong, I." Xiong Halian came out from the shadows and said coldly, "Useless thing." Zong Tianfeng trembled and quickly kowtowed. "Uncle Xiong, I still have a chance." Xiong Halian said, "Don't say any more, right now I only need you to do one thing, and that is to snatch that brat's corpse for me. You don't need to care about other matters. Kid, since you chose to die, then go and die." Xiong Halian, who was in the god's holy state, saw what happened just now very clearly. To think that he could go from Zong Tianfeng to him, this brat was not simple. If that's the case, then die. No one questioned Long Fei. However, the current situation was rather difficult. Qin Shuang looked at Long Fei and said, "The next wave of attack is about to begin." Long Fei looked at his right arm, stood still, and said, "I still have one more move. I still have another move. I still have another move." Everyone looked at Long Fei. All of the available moves had been used, and every single one of them only had a scant bit of true spiritual value remaining. There was another move at this time. Qin Shuang immediately asked, "What move?" Long Fei didn't directly say it, and said, "I need your cooperation, and I must definitely cooperate extremely well." Tan Depao stood up and said, "Boss, just tell me what to do." Long Fei was now their core. The only person who could save them was Long Fei. Everyone looked at Long Fei, treating him as their savior. Long Fei did not hesitate, and directly explained in detail. Zhang Yuanhang was a little doubtful, and asked, "Can you do it? Tan Dapao blindly believed in Long Fei. He had followed Long Fei for such a long time, but he had never known where Long Fei's limits were. Qin Shuang looked at Long Fei and said, "I'll be the second one." Zhang Yuanhang looked at them and said, "All right, I'll be third." Lan Mai and Chu Qing stood up and said, "We can also do it. Su Su was not to be outdone, I can do it too." Long Fei said, "Su Su, you stay. Recover a little more your true spiritual value and do your best to give it to the person who needs it the most. If we succeed, we will all be able to survive. If I fail, if there is a next life, then I, Long Fei, will be your slave." Long Fei said with a heavy voice. This move was very risky, but he could only try it once. This might be the only chance. Qin Shuang said, "We are brothers, if we carry it together, if we die together. Before, I was prejudiced against you. From today onwards, no matter what happens in the future, I will accept you as my brother." "All right," Long Fei said with a heavy voice as he stretched out his hand and said, "Come." He put his hands on it and said, "We're brothers, let's carry them together." F***CK. In the dark. Xiong Halian laughed coldly, "Seems like you want to fight to the death. It's really laughable. You overestimate yourself. That's not right. That's not enough to describe them." Zong Tianfeng slightly said, "Uncle Xiong, that Long Fei brat is mysterious. He has all sorts of mysterious powers." "Humph. That's because you're useless." Without waiting for Zong Tianfeng to finish speaking, Xiong Halian immediately poured a bucket of cold water over him. If not for the fact that he needed Zong Tianfeng to do something, he would not be in this world anymore. Zong Tianfeng's gaze trembled, and he immediately fell silent. Xiong Halian looked coldly in the distance. "No matter how mysterious your strength is, it has to have a realm to it. A mere trash of the god's elephant state, no matter how much he jumps, he can't do anything about it. Just wait for death." It was extremely disdainful. It was filled with disdain. In his heart, Zong Tianfeng also secretly said, "Long Fei, just you wait, you will soon become a dead dog, ha ha ha. This is the result of fighting with me, ha ha ha." The ancient devil tree was trapped. The ancient devil tree said slightly, "They will disappear soon, their corpses will be transported here shortly." The holy maiden was extremely anxious. Because the person the ancient devil tree was talking about was not Elder Xiong Halian, but a group of young people. Exam for a rookie? Or was he a disciple of the Fatri sect? Or could it be Long Fei? She was feeling anxious. Ancient devil tree could see the anxiety in the holy maiden's heart, and said, "Looks like there is someone in here that you are worried about. Ha ha ha. No wonder you didn't hesitate to use your blood essence to fight me. But come to think of it, if it really is that boy, then he's not bad at all. At least it pisses me off." The ancient devil tree's voice went cold and said, "That's why he died so miserably." The holy maiden's mind was thrown into chaos, and she couldn't help but look behind her. Her mind became even more confused. "No. Someone once told me that Long Fei would come to the Fatri sect. After 100 years of waiting, the appointed time has come. Is he here? No way. I can't let him take the risk." The holy maiden's mind became even more chaotic. The golden light around her body began to flicker, and the energy that was calming her heart began to waver. Suddenly, the holy maiden was startled. The ancient devil tree laughed excitedly, and started to crazily release a boundless demonic energy, directly surging into the holy maiden's mind, taking advantage of the situation to enter. Ha ha ha. Can the holy maiden's heart still be disturbed? It seems like the old demoness Jingxin probably hasn't calculated it to this extent, right? The holy maiden's expression changed slightly. She landed heavily once again. The demonic intent in her mind began to invade her mind and her sea of consciousness. The ancient devil tree laughed excitedly, and said, "You can't save him. Not only that, you have to become my servant, and the Fatri sect's holy maiden becomes my slave." Ha ha ha. The holy maiden's eyes slightly tightened. In between his eyebrows, a sword intent flashed out from the diamond immortal seal. Rainbow light flashed. The sword intent slashed out. The devilish will of the holy maiden was completely shattered. Ancient deviltry's expression changed. Shenyuan Emperor Sword? I didn't expect you to be a disciple of the Shenyuan branch. The holy maiden's body shook secretly, cutting off the demons in her heart, but her mind was in chaos, and at this moment, she was extremely weak. Moreover, at this moment, she could feel a few figures behind her, their devilish auras pressing down on her. The aura of the devil sect. The death shadow of the devil sect, the eyes of heaven. He looked at the holy maiden of the Fatri sect who was struggling to endure the pressure of the devil aura, and said with a cold smile, "It seems that from today onwards, the holy maiden of the Fatri sect will fall into my demonic way." Ha ha ha. Yi Zichen moved his hands. The devilish chi was like a black devilish flame that crazily surged towards the holy maiden. Double pincer attack. The holy maiden's face became somewhat pale. Moreover, her heart was still with someone else. Her unstoppable worry was the most deadly thing that could happen to her. At the same time, on Long Fei's side, rumble, rumble, rumble. The sounds of magical beasts shook the sky, their roars and trampling could be heard, causing the entire dark magic forest to tremble. "He's here! He's here!" Tan Dapao ran with all his might. At this moment, Qin Shuang also shouted out loud, "He's here! He's here!" The two armies of magical beasts came together. Zhang Yuanhang shouted, "I'm coming over too, big brother Long Fei, are you ready?" Lan Mai and Chu Qing were running towards Long Fei. All of the magical beast armies combined into one, forming a conical formation. The one leading them was a magical beast that flickered with immortal light. It roared as its power crushed everything in its path. Qin Shuang, Tan Dapao was practically holding on with his life. Long Fei looked at his right arm, very calm, and his heart was also incomparably calm. He said in his heart, "I have never seen your strongest strength. Brother, explode for me today." Then, Long Fei started to run, watching the triangular army charge towards him, his right hand sank. "Catcher, catcher." The big master guard arm quickly assembled. His strength sank. He poured all his true spiritual value into it. One strike to destroy 10,000 soldiers. Great Hegemon's fist, explode. Fully infuse. Fully infuse. He was betting on this punch. Inside the big master guard arm, there were 18 ancient giant demons, and all 18 of their powers were linked together. Ah! The veins on Long Fei's neck popped out as he roared. On his right arm, a divine light was flashing. Pouncing on it with all his strength, he threw a punch at the magical beast at the very front. Boom! The moment they came into contact, their strength exploded forth. The magical beast's stomach caved in, and its rapid charge halted in an instant. The magical beasts behind it all charged forward as if they were accustomed to doing so. Bang, bang, bang. The magical beasts collided. At this moment, bang, 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 bang. Energy exploded out piece by piece. With his strength continuously increasing, S' body sank down from the left and right, and his right arm pushed down heavily. "Explode for me." Rumble. An earth-shaking explosion. Those demonic beasts that had clashed with Long Fei instantly retreated, all of them stunned by Long Fei's power. The bloody grooves on their heads continuously formed bright red damage. 203, 8921 inch, 382, 0021, 298, 3210. All of them dealt over 1,000,000 damage, and the damage was continuously stacked on top of the magical beast's head. The power of this punch was unleashed to its limit. Long Fei had also reached his limit. His body was trembling. The inside of the big master guard arm crazily absorbed his true spiritual value. Any power of the divine treasures required true spiritual value to be activated. The big master guard arm was no exception. If one wanted to unleash the strongest of its power, they would have to pour an incomparably enormous amount of true spiritual value into it. His true spiritual value was dwindling crazily, and in a few short seconds, he reached the bottom. However, what was fortunate was that Long Fei had won the bet. At least, His fist was able to block the attacks of over 1,000 magical beasts. Looking at the damage floating above their heads, they should be fine as long as they persevere for another 10 seconds. Wow! Zheng Yuanhang was startled. He saw an unbelievable scene. Is this a human? A single punch was able to block thousands of magical beasts, and those magical beasts all seemed to be in great pain. Too awesome! Qin Shuang's eyes lit up and he subconsciously clenched his fists. Looking at Long Fei's powerful fist, his heart secretly tightened. If it was me, I would definitely not be able to block it. I am the royal realm, but the strength of his punch has already surpassed the power of royal realm, right? Even if it is a god treasure, I'm afraid I cannot release his power. Even if I can release this power, can I be as fearless as him? Can I? The answer is no. Qin Shuang knew that he couldn't. However, he learned it from Long Fei. The path of the martial arts training was one of fighting against the heavens and fighting with one's own life. Chu Qing's face was also filled with shock. So powerful, I haven't seen him for a while, he has become much stronger. Hearing them praising Long Fei, Su Su, and Lan Mai both felt complacent, as if they were praising them. Tan Depao said excitedly, "My boss is extremely strong. What does this kind of impossible situation count as? Even if it's a life and death situation, he can escape with his life. He's a legend. He is a miracle. Heh." Tan Depao was excited. Seeing Long Fei's explosive punch, he secretly thought in his heart, I have to work even harder. The scene was too terrifying, and no one could contain their shock. It was a scene they had never seen before. Similarly, even that kind of trash, Xiong Halian, was shocked as the center of his brows tightened. He said softly, I really didn't think that a mere trash like you, a god's elephant state, would have such power. He really is extraordinary. Zong Tianfeng said, this kid is not ordinary at all, he seems to have an inexhaustible amount of treasures on him. In this kind of situation, forget about God's elephant state, even the Emperor realm wouldn't dare to go head-to-head against him. One person fighting against 1,000 demon beasts is simply too unbelievable. Humph. Xiong Halian laughed coldly, and said, unbelievable? A miracle? Myth. If I, Xiong Halian, wanted a person to kneel down, no one would be able to stand up. Zong Tianfeng was shocked. It was also at this time. A phantom suddenly appeared on Xiong Halian's body and disappeared in a flash. Persist. Hold on. Long Fei. Long Fei clenched his teeth, his eyes sinister, and roared loudly. The consumption of his true spiritual value was too fast, and he could clearly feel his strength falling once again. At a time like this, Long Fei could only go and fight with his life on the line, and endure for as long as possible for a second longer. Even if he couldn't kill all of these magical beasts, he had to make sure they didn't move or else he would be the one to die. Ah! Long Fei roared. Just when the beasts could not hold on any longer and Long Fei saw a ray of hope. A shadow flashed. It directly landed in front of Long Fei. Long Fei was startled. Who? Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the figure revealed a sinister sneer, changed the direction of his energy, and blasted a palm strike at the location of the pubes in Long Fei's abdomen. Boom! Long Fei was powerless to resist them. Abdominal colic. The pubes looked like it was about to shatter. Although he did not need to use the pubes to absorb and release his true spiritual value, his body was still in extreme pain. Phut! He spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, roar! Those demon beasts that were being crushed by Long Fei let out an incomparably angry roar. Even though they were severely injured, but he did not lose his ability to fight. Especially the two peak immortal stage beasts, their eyes flashed with a bloody light as they stared at Long Fei. Long Fei's heart tensed up. It's over. He turned around and looked at Lan Mai and the others who were not far away, and shouted loudly, run! Tan Depao rushed forward bravely. It was the same for Su Su and Lan Mai. However, they were too far away, so there was nothing they could do at this time. Long Fei didn't have anything at the moment. No matter what skill he used, he could not activate it. It could be said that he was waiting for death right now. Run! Don't come near me. Faster! Long Fei shouted hysterically. Xiong Halian laughed coldly. looked at Zong Tianfeng, and said, "Prepare to collect the corpses." Zong Tianfeng said excitedly, "You're still the best, Uncle Xiong, hey." Zong Tianfeng walked out. At this moment, a beam of light flashed, and a unicorn flew past. At this moment, Chu Qing was shocked, as though he was grabbing onto life-saving straw of grass. He immediately shouted out, "Brother Ju, save me." The unicorn slightly stopped. Then, a white light flashed and fell. "Junior sister Chu, why are you here too?" Chu Qing said anxiously, "Senior brother, save him, save him." The young man in white looked into the distance and looked at Long Fei. Then, he moved his feet and waved his single-horned heaven horse, waving his sword. A single sword strike had broken through 10,000 kilometers. Those magical beasts were just like chickens and dogs. They were all caused by the sword lights and shattered. So strong that it was suffocating. Hualala. 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 1,000 magical beasts were instantly killed. Moreover, with a sword thrust, the white-clothed man rode the unicorn and instantly left without even looking at it. What is this? A strong confidence. It was a form of scorn as well. These magical beasts didn't even qualify to enter his eyes. Everyone was stunned. When Long Fei felt that sword, he was extremely shocked in his heart. So strong. He would have to risk his life to block it, but the sword slay. Even if the beasts were not harmed, he could still easily deal with them, but Long Fei could only carry them by himself. Similarly, the difference in level between the two wasn't ordinary either. One magical beast after another fell. His body shattered. Long Fei swallowed all of it heavily, his entire body falling to the ground as he exhaled deeply. He survived. It was also at this time the system started to explode. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 510,000 experience points for killing a demon beast, 30,000 true spiritual value, and 0 universal value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 500,000 experience points for killing a demon beast, true spiritual value 30,000, universal value 0. Ding. Ding. The system kept ringing. However, the experience wasn't as much as it had been at the beginning. It was unknown whether it was because Long Fei had leveled up, or because that sword strike was too gorgeous, and he had absorbed the experience of all the beasts, but he had gained a lot less experience. However, 1,000 or so demon beasts' experience points reaching 500 or 600 million was still quite pleasurable. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at level 4 Celestial Phenomenon. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at level 5 Celestial Phenomenon. 2 continuous sounds. At the same time, Long Fei's true spiritual value had been restored to full. It was also at this time the system rang out once again. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. You have received a special reward of Destiny Beat. Heh. Upgrade reward. So cool. Long Fei was secretly delighted. It had been a long time since he had received a level up reward, and looking at the special reward, it seemed to be very different. Destiny Beat? What is this? Strength. Destiny Beat, one-time use of strength, stats, instant kill. He hadn't used much of his description, but these 2 words, inst-kill. However, when Long Fei saw these 2 words, his gaze became a little dazed, because the meaning of the word instant kill was too strong. My god. Destiny Beat, 1 hit 1 kill, this. Great master system, are you going to go against the heavens? Ha ha ha. I like your heaven-defying temper, ha ha ha. Long Fei was extremely excited, his mind started to search for a target. Emperor Xian, oh Emperor Xian, do you think I should leave that to you? He shouldn't have any restrictions on the Destiny Beat, right? Emperor Xian should also be able to instantly kill it, right? But when Long Fei thought about the avatars that he had, even if he killed the avatars, it would be an instant kill. The existence of the Emperor Xian, the strongest boss, all sorts of avatars were assured. And then again, Long Fei didn't even know where the base shrine of the Gods tribe was right now. Too far away. I don't care. With this power, I'm not afraid of anyone right now. Long Fei was secretly excited. Right now, he just wanted to meet a super powerful boss, and then, one-hit kill, experience exploded. Not only that, to be able to go berserk, that would be great news. Boss, are you alright? Big brother Long Fei. The three of them hurriedly ran over. Long Fei stood up, patted on the dirt on his body and said, I'm fine, I'm fine. You three, when I tell you to run, you must run. Do you understand? Seeing that Long Fei was fine, Susu's tears were spinning. The scene just now was too dangerous. The beast's claws were about to touch Long Fei. If it was another second, Long Fei's head would probably fly out. Long Fei scratched Susu's nose and said, Idiot, what are you crying for? Am I not fine? Chu Qing and the other two also walked over. Long Fei immediately asked, who was that person riding the fairy beast? He saved my life, and I have to thank him. Chu Qing said, he is the great senior brother of our factory sect, and also the young sect master. He is the #1 powerhouse of our factory sect's younger generation. At the age of 25, he has already stepped into the god's holy state, and I heard that his attainments in the way of the sword have already stepped into the divine way. A single sword strike was able to instantly kill all of those magical beasts. This is too powerful. Young sect master? Long Fei memorized it. Tan Depao was a little dissatisfied. If boss had not injured all of those beasts, would he have been able to kill them in one shot? Qin Shuang said indifferently, that's true. Long Fei said, cannons, they saved our lives, we should be thankful for that. Heavenly Horse Fairy Beast did not even give them a glance. He was rather arrogant. But even if they were strong, they still had the qualifications to be arrogant. In any case, if not for Zhu Yuan and the others, they would already be dead. Tan Depao replied, got it. Zhang Yuanhang slightly asked, why is young sect master here? Wasn't he in seclusion preparing for the immortal sect's battle with the heroes? Why are we here? Chu Qing said, isn't that simple? Since the Holy Maiden is here, he will definitely come as well. The Holy Maiden is his fiancée. Qin Shuang was startled, and said, just now, young sect master left in a hurry, could it be that the Holy Maiden is in danger? At this moment. Rumble. Not far away, a blood-red demonic flame suddenly ignited. A big tree suddenly grew up. Immediately, the demonic energy in the entire dark magic forest dispersed like mist, causing everyone's mind to become restless. Long Fei's mind tensed up. Protect your heart, don't let the demon thoughts confuse your mind. Faster. Everyone quickly sat on the ground and tried to control their minds. At the same time, Xiong Halian clenched his fists tightly, his teeth chattering loudly as he said solemnly, Brat, consider yourself lucky, let's wait and see. If Zhu Yuan had appeared, then something big must have happened. He didn't dare to be negligent. Moreover, right now, the demonic energy in the dark magic forest was simply too dense. At this time, those hidden disciples of magic sect would definitely be unable to control themselves and would be completely exposed. The new disciples that he brought with him would also be confused. Once the demonic intent entered his body and fell into the demonic path, the sovereign would definitely punish him. In any case, Long Fei would not leave, he would not be in a hurry to leave for a moment. Rumble. Another loud sound rang out. The demonic flame became even more ferocious. At the same time, a painful scream rang out. The woman screamed. Long Fei's mind was in a mess, he did not know why, but when he heard the scream, his heart suddenly sank, his forehead tightened, and said softly, you guys are right here, I'll go take a look. With regards to the demon Qi, Long Fei did not need to resist much. With regards to the demon Qi, Long Fei did not need to resist much. His idea became abnormally determined during the sword practice that elder swordsmen taught him. Even if the dense demonic energy wanted to invade his mind, it would be very difficult. Unless he was willing, otherwise, he would never be controlled by the demonic intent. He had an ominous premonition. At the same time, he still couldn't forget about the dark magic forest's boss in his heart. After all, With so many immortal stage magic beasts appearing and the boss not appearing, this meant that the level of this boss was not low. If he could kill it, then it would be perfect. Long Fei quickly approached. The number one genius of Factory Sect is only SOSO. Ha ha ha. As he looked at Zhu Yuan, whose chest had been cut open and blood was trickling from the corner of his mouth, his eyes revealed a hint of despise. Zhu Yuan replied, Devil Sect's number one powerhouse is only SOSO. A stubborn mouth. Tian Ming laughed, you are still too inexperienced in front of me. Noob. Ha ha ha. Zhu Yuan laughed madly, and said, then aren't you too old? Zhu Yuan was injured, but he was not afraid of the Heaven's Eyes. On the contrary, he had intentionally injured himself in the last 2 strikes. When a hero saves a beauty, it saves a soul. What he saved was a life and death situation, and this kind of heroic talent for saving the beauty was able to win over the heart of the beauties. How can you show a thrill without a little injury? Zhu Yuan had never appeared. Just waiting. He knew that the ancient devil tree could not take the life of the holy maiden. Even if he appeared, it would only be an ordinary hero saving a beauty. He wanted to move the holy maiden. He wanted her to agree to his proposal and marry him willingly. So, what was the point of suffering? The holy maiden said, Senior brother, leave quickly. Don't worry about me. The holy maiden bitterly held on. Although there was the Shenyuan Emperor sword protecting her heart and preventing the devil will from invading her body, she still had to endure the demonic might released by the Heaven's Eyes. She was on the verge of collapsing. Under the dual attacks of her devil will, she was reaching her limit. Moreover, her resistance grew weaker and weaker. Sister Li, I won't leave you behind. Zhu Yuan's tone carried a trace of injury, and he felt very weak. Heaven's Eyes sneered, he really wants to die, just die with me, no. Fall into my devil Dao together, young sect master of Factory Sect, and all the holy maiden have all joined my devil sect. This matter will definitely be spread widely in western regions, and after my devil sect unifies our western regions, we might become 1,000. Oh, it's a great thing. Ha ha ha. The sword intent on Zhu Yuan moved, devil sect dog, hand over your life. The Heaven's Eyes also turned malevolent, you're courting death. Buzz. The 2 swords clashed, and sword shadows wreaked havoc everywhere. The sword cheese even pierced through the surrounding space, creating streams of space visible to the naked eye. Boom. Boom. They collided and bounced off each other. The 2 of them were like 2 gods fighting. The ancient devil tree could not help but say, so powerful, if they all died, I could absorb the true essence in their bodies, hey. No. A person's true essence is enough, I can break out of the Ji-Yin shackles. The ancient devil tree was excited. He was also waiting. He wasn't worried at all about the demonic beasts that had died just now. As long as Zhu Yuan and Heaven Eyes were to die, even if he absorbed true essence, he would be able to break out of his imprisonment. The people here are all the same, they all have to die. The holy maiden did not dare say anything, as she was afraid that she would affect Zhu Yuan's mind. Rumble. After exchanging thousands of moves in half a minute, Zhu Yuan revealed a breathless look. The chi on Heaven's Eye was also in chaos, but compared to Zhu Yuan's panting, he was much better. Just these 2? Zhu Yuan said, aren't you the only one who knows how to do so? Your mouth is quite sharp, but... Suddenly, Sky Eye figure blurred. Zhu Yuan's body subconsciously appeared to be in a defensive state, but... In that instant, his gaze tightened as he said in a deep voice, be careful, Sister Li. Ha ha ha. Tian Shi's sword fell on the holy maiden's shoulder. With just a slight movement, the holy maiden's head would be chopped off. Zhu Yuan's gaze tensed up, and the aura on his body suddenly changed. He was no longer panting. Heaven's Eyes laughed coldly, she is your beloved woman, right? If you want her alive, then kneel down. The muscles at the corner of Zhu Yuan's eyes twitched, the look in his eyes became gloomy, and the chi on his body became exceptionally cold, as he said sinisterly, you better take the sword away, or else, I will take your life. Completely different. It was as though he had instantly become another person. The Heaven's Eyes also trembled slightly, because he felt a very familiar aura from Zhu Yuan's body. This was not the demonic energy from anger. It was the demonic chi that would only appear after training for a long time. Heaven's eyes sneered and said, "I said, if you want him alive, then kneel down." Not waiting for him to finish. Zhu Yuan's eyes flashed with a dark red light, the sword intent around his body moved. Wang. The divine path. A divine light flashed in the sky. The entire dark magic forest sunk. It was also at this time. The Heaven's eyes slightly raised his head as his pupils abruptly contracted. In the next second, Zhu Yuan disappeared. In the next second, a ray of sword light appeared in Heaven's eye. There was a small bloody wound in the center of his forehead. His body trembled and the sword fell from his hand. Without saying a single word, his body slowly fell to the ground. There wasn't even time to react. This strike. Too strong. A sword that was like divine aid. He did not know how Zhu Yuan had unleashed his sword, nor did he know where his sword was located. Heaven's eyes' cultivation was higher than Zhu Yuan's, but he did not even have the chance to react. The ancient devil tree did not care about all that. With a move of its roots, it directly absorbed the Heaven's eyes body. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The ancient devil tree began to laugh crazily. His huge body started to transform as he said excitedly, "It's been so many years, and I've finally broken through my shackles. Ha ha ha. Now. Everyone must die." Rumble. The ancient devil tree absorbed all the corpses in Heaven's eye, causing a scarlet demonic flame to shoot out thousands of miles, directly covering the entire dark magic forest. At this moment, the entire dark magic forest began to move. Streams of yin power crazily rushed towards the ancient devil tree. The ancient devil tree looked at Zhu Yuan and said, "Your acting is not bad. It's not the path of God, but the path of demons. This is even better. The strength of your body is more suitable for me. Ha ha ha. They have to die, they have to die." Boom. Boom. Two strong forces of yin directly rose up, and instantly crushed Zhu Yuan and the Holy Maiden. The Sandpiper and Clam fight over the prophets. The Sandpiper and Clam fight over the prophets. Heaven's Eye's corpse had greatly increased the strength of the ancient devil tree. Moreover, he had already broken through his shackles and the demonic tree had transformed. The entire dark magic forest trembled crazily. Not only that, when the ancient devil tree's power surged, the roots of the ancient devil tree would bind the Holy Maiden and Zhu Yuan directly like 10,000 snakes. Zhu Yuan's expression changed and he reacted quickly. There was still a dark red glint in his eyes, as if he had been possessed by a devil. "Then you must die." As soon as his voice faded, the divine path. Zhu Yuan let out a dark cry as a divine light once again scattered down from the sky. The sword intent moved. It condensed into an incomparably small steel needle and pierced towards the ancient devil tree along with Zhu Yuan's lightning-fast speed. Fast. It was indescribably fast. Zhu Yuan had not met an opponent with this move before, but once the divine way sword intent was used, an existence that no one could defend against, even devil sectess who were 2 levels higher than him, had been instantly killed. More than enough. However, the ancient devil tree laughed coldly in disdain, and said, "Since you can see, then I also have a way to break it, and do you think the devil in my body can be compared to the devil in the heart of those devil sect ants? What a joke." The ancient devil tree shook its body slightly, and a bright light burst out. In that instant, an extremely strong wood-type energy surged out, eternal life. Buzz. Rumble. The two forces clashed. Zhu Yuan leaped up, and through the ancient devil tree's huge body, his dark red eyes revealed a sense of pride. He sneered, "Can you hold on?" He had an incomparable confidence in this strike. Devil sect and ancient devil tree could not block it, but they could not do the same. Through the sword, even a deity would die. However, the demonic energy in dark magic forest did not disappear, and not only that, the ancient devil tree did not fall either. "You're underestimating me too much. I have already broken through the shackles of the universal realm. Is there anyone in the entire universal realm who can kill me? Not to mention you, even if your father Mr. Celestial came, he wouldn't be able to kill me. The ancient devil tree said indifferently. A dead piece of tree bark fell off his body. The bark rotted and finally turned to powder. Just now, Zhu Yuan had only killed a piece of the bark on his body. How could he create tens of thousands of pieces of bark like this? Unless you had the ability to kill thousands of pieces of tree bark in one move. Zhu Yuan's divine way sword moves were simply unable to accomplish it. Wood attribute. Decaying was a miracle. Decay wood can meet spring. It possessed a very powerful regeneration ability. A tender sapling could grow into a towering tree, and a dead old tree could live again in the spring. This was the wood attribute. This was also the power of the ancient devil tree breaking out of the imprisonment. Zhu Yuan's eyes became cold, the dark red in his eyes became denser, the corners of his eyes twitched, and the sword image in his hand flashed again. However, the ancient devil tree, did not give him another chance. The holy maiden called out, "Senior brother, be careful." Rumble. A gigantic tree root soared into the sky, and with a twist in front of Zhu Yuan, it directly trapped Zhu Yuan and sent his entire body into the air. At the same time, boom, boom, boom. Enormous roots continued to fly in the air from the dark magic forest, and every single root was tied up a person. There were disciples who were taking the examination, and there were also disciples of the Fatri sect. All of a sudden, there are tens of thousands of roots in dark magic forest. It was like people being hung in the air. Not only that, the people whose bodies were bound by the roots quickly stiffened as the roots wrapped around their bodies. At the same time, the tiny roots stabbed into their bodies like thin needles. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I've said it before, everyone here will die, ha ha ha. The ancient devil tree went crazy. Enormous roots continued to shoot up into the sky from the dark magic forest. At this moment, the dark magic forest had already become the Deathland. It was as if the god of death had descended upon them. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The roots were surging and absorbing the profound chi from these people, pouring into the ancient devil tree's body. The holy maiden was extremely anxious. She could no longer restrict the ancient devil tree with her calming heart. The ancient devil tree looked at the holy maiden and laughed. "Weren't you always trying to purify the demonic intent in my heart? Now, I'll let you see what kind of demon I have in mind. Don't worry, you will be the last to die." Ha ha ha. The ancient devil tree shook, and lines of special power started to surge. The roots that were shooting up into the sky were still growing. From the original 100-meter mark to the current 10,000-meter mark, they directly pierced into the void one after another. Rumble. Rumble. The thunderclouds churned and lightning raged. Strands of roots pierced into the clouds, causing the ancient devil tree to shout loudly, "Come down, Chaos Lord." Rumble. The ancient devil tree released the energy it had absorbed. The energy on the roots interweaved and formed a huge formation in the clouds. Buzz buzz buzz. Strength link. A strange rune faintly appeared in the sky. The ancient devil tree became even more crazy. Did you see that? It's the devil in my heart. I want to make this world fall into chaos. Ha ha ha. This is how the world should be. Ha ha ha. The holy maiden's eyes became tense. Summon him, and tell him that he will harm the innocent. You must control the devil in your heart. You must. The ancient devil tree replied heavily, "Why do I need to control it? I want to make the devil in my heart grow bigger, and I want to make this world tremble for me." Back then, when I escaped from ancient world and struggled at death's door for billions of years, no one remembered me anymore. My master had fallen, but ancient world was still in chaos. Universal realm. HMPH. He should be in chaos as well. Bring it on. The ancient devil tree let out a heavy roar. Let this world tremble for us. The king of chaos. Rumble. Rumble. All of the forces intertwined together, and at the same time, the gigantic array seal appeared in the sky, and the gigantic monster slowly walked out of the void. A pair of sharp horns. An enormous figure. Each inch of the copper-yellow muscles was filled with endless strength. The 8 heavy legs stomped on the ground. Catcher, catcher, catcher. The void split apart like a layer of ice. The sky above Dark Magic Forest seemed to have already shattered as it crumbled piece by piece. At this moment, Long Fei was stunned, his eyes stared straight ahead, staring at the gigantic monster in the sky. Damn, this boss is simply... wow, that's too much. The first time. This was the first time he had seen such a strong boss. Long Fei himself was dumbfounded. At the same time, his heart was also incomparably excited, far more awesome than the roar of sky touching he saw last time at the examination grounds. Chaos Lord looked like a mutated cow. Why is it a mutated cow? His body was too huge, he had 8 legs, and all the muscles in his body were like thousands of refined copper pieces. That aura. There was also a 10-meter-long groove of blood on top of his head. More importantly, the golden light on its body was dazzling, as if it was a sun flying out of thin air. To Long Fei, it was too eye-catching. It was too tempting. The universal realm is indeed the universal realm, it really is a high-level plane. It's really different, to be able to summon an object from another time and space. Long Fei said in shock. He had reacted to the primordial record before, but there was no such demon beast monster. Even ancient world did not have it. Obviously. This fellow was a creature from another world. As a person who crossed over from Earth, he was very clear on the universe's size, the infinite principles. One plane was one planet. Only, their levels were different. There must be other planets and planes outside the universal realm, and it was the same outside the ancient world. For example, the universal realm was a planet and the ancient world was a galaxy. Passing through this galaxy also had other dimensions, so it was normal for him to summon creatures from another dimension. Long Fei walked to the side of the ancient devil tree, lightly said, "Did you summon it?" The ancient devil tree was startled, then looked at Long Fei with a strange expression. "You're not demonized. He can even walk to my side so calm and unperturbed. Is it strange?" Long Fei looked at the Chaos Lord in the sky who was about to completely come out, and said, "This guy is awesome." The Holy Maiden also curiously looked at Long Fei, and said, quickly go to the factory sect and call for people." Long Fei scratched his head. "I am still not a disciple of factory sect, I won't call anyone, and what am I going to do with them? This guy sure is fun to play around with." The Holy Maiden said, "Is it fun? A lot of people will die." Long Fei replied, "No." The Holy Maiden replied, "You have no idea how powerful he is. These alien creatures are extremely destructive. If you don't call for help, we're really doomed." Long Fei replied, "Don't worry, I won't." The Holy Maiden became anxious. "What's wrong with you? You don't even know what the Chaos Lord is, you don't even know how strong that guy is. Go quickly. Even if you cannot go to the factory sect, go notify the Elder Xiong and have him go call for reinforcements. As long as you send a message, I can let you enter the factory sect as an exception. Go quickly." If they did not stop the ancient devil tree in time, the entire western regions would have been thrown into chaos, and countless civilians would have died. This must be stopped. However, both of Long Fei's hands were in his pockets, as he looked at the incomparably sinister Chaos Lord in the sky. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he couldn't help but smile excitedly. As for the Holy Maiden's words, it was as if he had not heard them. The Holy Maiden anxiously said, "I'm talking to you." Long Fei replied, "I know, I'm listening." The Holy Maiden said, "Go find the Elder Xiong and have him call for reinforcements." Long Fei waved his hand. "There's no need to go through all that trouble, I can take care of it." The Holy Maiden looked at Long Fei and observed him carefully. She discovered nothing special about him, he was just an ordinary warrior of the god's elephant state. How could someone at this level handle the Chaos Lord? Then the great battle at that time in Ancient World would not have happened, and the structure of Ancient World would not be like this. The Holy Maiden said, "I beg of you, hurry up and go." Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Beauty, you don't believe me?" The Holy Maiden was speechless. To believe in a god's elephant state warrior? How could he believe it? He couldn't believe it at all. It was also at this time. Zhu Yuan's voice sank as he heavily roared, "Brat, I told you to go inform the elder Xiong, hurry up and go. A piece of trash like you shouldn't waste time here. Long Fei looked up and saw the tied-up Zhu Yuan, and said slightly, Brother, you saved me just now, I will endure this once. Zhu Yuan bellowed, You dead trash, hurry and notify elder Xiong. Long Fei said unhappily, I hate hearing the word trash the most. Don't think that just because you saved me, you are so amazing. Let me tell you, save me once, and I'll pay you back just once. Zhu Yuan coldly snorted, and said, Just you? You still want to save me? Are you dreaming? The ancient devil tree found Long Fei very interesting, and said, You little kid is very interesting her. Long Fei grinned and said, It's indeed very interesting. However, it's going to be boring soon. Finished. Long Fei's figure moved, snapshot step. Then, his right arm sank and the power of the big Master Guard arm erupted. He punched at the root hair that was binding Zhu Yuan. I never liked owing favors to others. You saved me before, and now this daddy has saved you again. Rumble. A punch. The roots instantly ruptured. The power that was binding Zhu Yuan instantly relaxed as well. With a move of his strength, Zhu Yuan flew out one step. Zhu Yuan dodged quickly and in a slightly sorry state. Seeing the holy maiden who was on the ground, he said directly, Little sister Li, hang on, I'll go call for reinforcements. The fairy beast heavenly horse appeared. Zhu Yuan climbed up the Pegasus and disappeared without a trace, almost as if he had just pissed his pants. Call for help. He was running for his life. The array in the sky was in a mess, the ancient devil tree was raging, Brat, you dare spoil my plans? Then I will use you as an offering. The holy maiden also immediately said, He is just an innocent person, there is no need for someone to sacrifice him. I will take his place. Long Fei was a little touched and said, Beautiful girl, is your heart really that good? This world is too dangerous. Look at that person just now, he was so scared that he pissed his pants and threw you here. The holy maiden smiled faintly, there should be more beautiful things in this world. Roar. The formation in the sky lost its power and was about to break. The gigantic Chaos Lord was also roaring and fuming, but he was already just a little bit away from coming out. At this time, the ancient devil tree growled, Then I'll use you. With a twitch of the roots, the holy maiden was directly swept up and sent flying into the sky. Long Fei said softly, Wait. At this moment, the array was already stable, and the Chaos Lord had completely appeared in universal realm. The ancient devil tree became excited. It glanced at Long Fei and asked, What are you going to do? Long Fei grinned and said, I'm going to blow it up. What? What? The ancient devil tree did not understand. What did you say? Long Fei raised his sleeves and asked excitedly, That's Chaos Lord. The devil in your heart, right? Ancient devil tree said, How is it? He is no ordinary demon. He is a bloodthirsty demon, and the more he kills, the stronger he becomes. I want to turn this world into chaos as well. Very excited. It was like a madman who wanted to protect society. However, Long Fei said, Then I'm really sorry, I'm going to blow him up. The ancient devil tree said, Who are you going to blow up? Long Fei said, I want to kill it, the Chaos Lord that you summoned. The ancient devil tree looked at Long Fei seriously, and then, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Are you here to be funny? If you are here to make me laugh, then you have done it. Long Fei said with a serious face, I saw it clearly. The ancient devil tree said, I will open my eyes and see clearly. Let me see how you managed to blow him up. Ha ha ha. He still couldn't help but laugh. Because a god's elephant state warrior wants to kill Chaos Lord. It's like an ant boasting to trample an elephant to death. It was something that did not exist. God's elephant state. This was also the reason why the ancient devil tree did not do anything to Long Fei. No matter how much a god's elephant state warrior jumped about, he could not do anything about it. This was the world of the powerhouse. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly. Looking at the holy maiden who was in midair, he said, Beauty, don't be anxious. I'll save you right away. I just said, You don't need to ask for help. I can take care of him. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's eyes slightly sunk as he muttered, Emperor Xian, I'm sorry. I had originally wanted to leave some power for you, but defeating you in one move is too unpleasant. I still like the feeling of me punching you into pieces. Zhong Xian's eyes quivered. He took a step and flew into the air. Looking at the incomparably huge Chaos Lord in the distance that covered half the sky, Long Fei grinned and said, Grandson, look here. Roar. With a low growl, the space split open and the sky began to tremble. Within a circumference of 100,000 kilometers, all living creatures were trembling. This guy was too fierce. Damn, Ching Ching's ears are going deaf. I can't be bothered with you anymore. Bring it on. Die. Long Fei immediately activated the system, looking at the destiny beat that had just received a reward of not too long ago, who was still smoking from the heat. He said slightly, Big brother, let me show them. Destiny beat. Kill it for me. The idea moved and released its power. Nothing around him had changed. There were no energy waves. There were also no signs of aura fluctuations. Long Fei could not even feel any changes in his body, nor could he sense where exactly the so-called destiny beat was released from. It was as if nothing had been released. Hey, what's going on? Is the release method wrong? Long Fei opened the system to take a look, and discovered that the power of destiny beat was no longer in the system, which meant that he had released it just now. However, there was no response. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The ancient beast laughed and said, This is too funny, ha ha. I'm sure you're here to be funny. He couldn't stop laughing. The holy maiden's face was filled with black lines as she said, Run before the ancient devil tree has the heart to kill you. Leave me alone. Long Fei grinned and started to feel a little awkward. He cursed in his heart, System, damn you, are you kidding me? Is it fun? Your sister. In the distance. Tan Depao looked at Long Fei who was in the sky and muttered, What is boss doing now? Qin Shuang also said, It can't be that he wants to fight with the monster in the sky, right? The two of them looked at each other. Tan Depao immediately stood up and said, This is bad. He quickly shouted, Boss, don't be impulsive. Run. Su Su was anxious too. Who can send me up? I want to release the cure for him. This is bad. This is bad. If they were in no hurry to escape at this point, who would be willing to throw their lives away? Everyone in the dark magic forest looked at Long Fei. Is this person retarded? Even if he's not brain damaged, his brain definitely isn't good enough. Is he going to die? What is he doing? Is my brain filled with water? I think he's tired of living. I've seen idiots, but I've never seen one like him before. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Many people were laughing. She was laughing at Long Fei's idiotic behavior. At the same time, Xiong Halian slightly said, We can go collect the corpses later. Zong Tianfeng replied, Understood. I just don't understand. What in the world is wrong with this trash? I thought he was smart, but it turns out he's just a retard. This time, it was completely solved. There was no need to worry about Long Fei not dying. At this moment, Long Fei had to die. It was very, very awkward. Because the destiny beat's power was a little strange, he could not feel it at all. It did not appear at all. This made Long Fei extremely embarrassed. However, when Long Fei was looking through the system, he realized that there was a small bar at the bottom of the system page that was letting out cooldowns. Ding. Condensing complete. Suddenly, the system sounded out. At this moment, the sky split open. Boom. With a dull thud, a beam of light flashed down. Buzz. A buzz. And then, the incomparably huge monster, Chaos Lord's body was split into two. The beam grew thicker. Rumble. His body, which had been split into two, transformed into fine powder before completely vanishing. The formation in the sky also crumbled. All of this happened in a second, leaving everyone dumbstruck. They couldn't react at all, and in the blink of an eye, everything disappeared. They had no idea what had happened. Long Fei was the same. He was also dumbstruck, his mouth opened wide enough to put in an egg, his heart churning, Damn, a destiny beat, this is too amazing. Just as described. One hit, instant kill, there's no chance at all. At this moment, Long Fei was a little regretful. After a few seconds of silence, he felt even more regretful, because this destiny beat really could be killed by the #1 powerhouse of the universal realm. In other words, he wasted a big move. Regret. Long Fei's heart was bleeding. My trump card. Great Master System, Ancestor System, please grant me another destiny beat. It was also at this time. The system sounded out a melodious sound, causing Long Fei's heart to freeze. It's here, it's about to explode. Ding. He held his breath, his eyes unmoving. At this moment, Long Fei's heart was indescribably nervous. It was originally used to deal with the Emperor Xian, but now it was used. If nothing good dropped, then Long Fei was probably so angry that he would kill him. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Chaos Lord for obtaining 100 million experience, 100 million true spiritual value, and 0 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining attack power of creation. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Berserk Beast Gobbledegook. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Chaos Lord skin. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Chaos Lord's bone. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Chaos Lord's horn. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 6 Celestial Phenomenon. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 7 Celestial Phenomenon. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 8 Celestial Phenomenon. 1 billion experience points, increased by 3 levels. Streams of leveled up light started to rise from within Long Fei's body. His energy continued to evolve and his attributes were strengthened, giving him an indescribable feeling of pleasure from head to toe. After a series of system beeps finished, Long Fei looked at the items that were dropped and grinned excitedly. Ha ha ha. Yet another power of creation. Last time was the power of good karma. This time, I'm attacking the power of creation. Item, attack power of creation, 1 point, attributes, intense attack attributes, description, attack and release the power of creation, release and at the same time fuse with the body, unleashing over 100 times the power of the real face. 1 use. Description 2, it can be fused into a weapon and become a soul artifact. The user can use the power of creation permanently. The success rate of the fusion is 0.1%. 100-fold increase. Damn. Is this a death sentence? Long Fei looked at the description and was shocked. Furthermore, this is a system description, and is not his current cultivation level. This also means that his current realm can increase his strength by 100 times, and once he reaches the Great Shizun realm, that would also mean that his strength will be increased by 100 times. He didn't dare to imagine. With 100 times the strength of a great master, what kind of scene would that be? The scene was too beautiful. Gudong. Long Fei couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Even if this power can't compare to the Destiny Beat, I would definitely not investigate it. Moreover, it's a growth-type beast. It can even be fused through artifact forging. Turn into an artifact soul, permanently using it. This is even more abnormal. The success rate is only 0.1%. This is too difficult. Long Fei had never thought of refining. If he failed with a power that was 100 times stronger, that would be F*King bad. The success rate was too low. After inspecting the power of creation, Long Fei's gaze stopped at the Berserk Beast Gobbledegook. Wild beast. If my guess is not wrong, this should be one of the 10 great Gobbledegooks, right? What the F***K? F***CK. But a great treasure. An existence that cannot be compared to a divine treasure, isn't it something that should only exist in legends? Could it be that it really exists? Long Fei's heart started boiling. He had seen the 10 great Gobbledegook in the primordial record. Heaven, earth, star, dawn, human, beast, demon, God, Buddha, Tao. 10 Gobbledegook. Every single Gobbledegook contained an extremely powerful force. The primordial record described 10 Gobbledegook possessing a power that was able to defy the heavens and change the heavens. When 10 Gobbledegook were combined together, they could open the mysteries of the universe. Of course, this was only a legend. Furthermore, according to the legends, 10 Gobbledegook were born together with the ancient world, and each book was spread across different planes. Until now, there had not been a single person who had gathered all 10 Gobbledegook. However, any one of these Gobbledegooks was a sovereign treasure. Long Fei moved, carefully opening up the wild beast Gobbledegook. F***K. The first wild beast on the first page is the giant Leviathan. This is too freaking abnormal. The mountain and sea scriptures monster. Long Fei continued to scroll down, but he did not flip through it, because the wild beast Long Fei who appeared on the first page was not suitable, and also because the wild beast below it would not appear. Cultivating Gobbledegook was an extremely difficult thing to do. The giant Leviathan was an abnormal creature. It was far too difficult to subdue this wild beast. If they did not tame it, the beast behind the berserk beast Gobbledegook would not have appeared. Huff. Long Fei muttered, "Berserk beast Gobbledegook, this daddy will definitely cultivate you." In his mind, he vaguely felt that he had trained in Gobbledegook before. Could it be that the memories of my seal have also cultivated Gobbledegook? Can't be. According to what Xiao Bai, Bing Hue, and the others said, I should be from a very small plane. Long Fei muttered in his heart. He couldn't quite believe it. But the feeling was very strong. Long Fei did not think too much. He knew that as long as he could turn Emperor Xian upside down and turn God's tribe inside out, all of his memories of his seal would come to life. The two items that were dropped were both divine-level treasures. The power of creation was incredible. The viciousness of berserk beast Gobbledegook. It felt so good. The other things were all materials from Chaos Lord, and even if they were materials, they were godly treasures. Any one of them would be worth more than 100 million. Chaos Lord was killed the moment he appeared without leaving a single bone behind. It was also at this time. The array formation formed by the roots released by the ancient devil tree cracked, and those who were bound by the roots all fell down one by one. The Holy Maiden was the same. However, Long Fei's hands moved quickly, his figure flashed, and instantly flew up to the Holy Maiden's side, giggling, and said, "I told you there was no need to call for reinforcements, right?" The Holy Maiden's cheeks flushed red, as she looked at Long Fei seriously. Long Fei was also looking at her. He couldn't help but admit that the Holy Maiden was really beautiful, that kind of extraordinary beauty that could make people remember their beauty for life just by looking at her. The Holy Maiden asked faintly, "How did you know that it would die?" Long Fei was startled, and thought, "Seems like she didn't know that I killed the Chaos Lord." "It's good if you don't know." Low profile, low profile. Long Fei laughed and said, "If I said I knew how to divine fate, and calculated that I would die as soon as it comes out, would you believe me?" Poochie. The Holy Maiden couldn't help but laugh. "I don't believe you, but you're talking about some kind of divination technique, aren't you?" Long Fei replied, "More or less." The Holy Maiden looked at Long Fei with hesitation, then said, "Then can you calculate for me when I will be able to meet my beloved one?" Very serious. 100 years of waiting. She had waited very hard. However, she knew that person would definitely come. No matter how long it took, she would still continue to wait. Because she loved that man. Long Fei looked at the serious Holy Maiden, grinned, and said, "Today." The Holy Maiden was shaken. "I can meet her today?" Long Fei had a cheap expression, and said, "Yes, and you're right in that person's embrace. Hai Yang, I have something urgent to do this morning. I'll write it in the afternoon." The Holy Maiden looked at Long Fei, and looked at him very seriously. The Holy Maiden looked at Long Fei, and looked at him very seriously. This was perhaps the first time she looked at Long Fei with such seriousness in the past 100 years. However, 3 seconds later, the Holy Maiden's body slightly moved, breaking away from Long Fei's hands, and she coldly said, "Please don't make such a joke in the future." His body gently landed on the ground. Long Fei was startled. He did not expect the Holy Maiden to be this serious. Embarrassed, he said, "Sorry, I was just joking." The Holy Maiden ignored him and walked over to the ancient devil tree's side. The originally enormous ancient devil tree began to wither rapidly. Leaves withered and fell. How could this be? No. It can't be like this. The ancient devil tree bellowed with all its might. He summoned the devil in his heart and used up all of his strength. Without this power, he would rapidly wither. Although he wouldn't die, he would become a weak sapling that couldn't withstand the wind. Compared to the last time he escaped from ancient world, he fell even worse. Only after 1,000,000,000,000 years could he grow up to become a towering tree, absorb demon chi, and cultivate. But 1,000,000,000,000 years of hard work had all come to naught. He was unwilling, extremely unwilling. The Holy Maiden looked at the rapidly withering ancient devil tree and said, "You lose." "I didn't." The ancient devil tree let out a heavy roar, but its voice became hoarse and fuzzy, because his cultivation was weakening crazily. It wouldn't be long before he couldn't even make a sound. Long Fei kicked him. "What are you being cocky for? Your demons are dead." Originally, Long Fei wanted to get rid of this ancient devil tree, but it seemed that he wouldn't need to do so now, and looking at the blood value on his head, which had grown from a few meters to 100 points previously, this kind of monster would be inexperienced for Long Fei even if he killed it. The ancient devil tree gritted its teeth. "I should kill you." Long Fei laughed. Come and kill me." The roots of the ancient devil tree wanted to grow out, but the root hair that burst out of the ground was as thin as a human hair, and with one step, Long Fei broke it. "Kill me." "Damn, you're too far behind." Long Fei replied. The Holy Maiden lightly said, "My master died because of you. She has wanted to purify you for her entire life. Now, I can fulfill her last wish." Then, the Holy Maiden's chi slightly fluctuated. Wang. The energy of the calming heart clear curse was released and permeated into the ancient devil tree SR. The ancient devil tree let out a painful roar. "You want to purify me? Don't even think about it." Ah. It was painful. But the ancient devil tree had dignity. In this lifetime, his goal was to make the universal realm into a place as chaotic as the ancient world. His master had fallen, he wanted revenge. Only by falling into the demonic realm could one cultivate demonic arts have a chance at survival, but even if he failed, he would not give up. He roared in his heart, "Master, even if I never reincarnate, I will not give up." Buzz. In that instant, a strand of primordial spirit exploded from the ancient devil tree's body. The Holy Maiden's eyes were closed, continuously chanting the blood essence purification spell, not noticing the change in the ancient devil tree at all. Even with the current strength of the ancient devil tree, it was impossible to deal with her. However, the Holy Maiden never thought that the ancient devil tree would struggle with its life on the line, and would even bet everything on it. The primordial spirit of the ancient devil tree surged. Immediately, the overwhelming devil flames surged crazily, quickly pouncing towards the Holy Maiden. "If you can't break out of this prison, then I will take your life. Even if I have to transform into a human, I will turn this world upside down." Buzz. The Holy Maiden's eyes opened, and her body trembled. The ancient devil tree was weak, and the Holy Maiden herself was also weak. After 3 consecutive days of consumption and being bound by the devil roots just now to absorb the large amount of profound chi in her body, she was extremely weak. Facing such a huge devil flame, she did not know how to resist, so she wanted to summon the Shenyuan of the blood vein. The great emperor soared, however. Due to the lack of zhenqi, Zhongxian was unable to use it. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The ancient devil tree began to laugh maniacally. However, just at that moment, Long Fei, who was at the side, reacted quickly. He moved his body and blocked in front of the Holy Maiden, and said slightly, "It's such a pity that such a beautiful lady has fallen to the demonic way." Boom. The devil fire was like lightning, smashing right at Long Fei's chest. The ancient devil tree shook and said coldly, "Brat, you asked for this yourself. Since you want to be a hero, then I'll let you be one. Devil wills enter my heart. Control." With the final explosion, he had no other way out. However, compared to the Holy Maiden, Long Fei was much easier to control. This was because no matter how powerful the god's elephant state was, it was only a god's elephant state. The demon flame had completely entered Long Fei's body. The Holy Maiden's face darkened. She anxiously said, "The demonic flame has entered your body. Quickly sit down. I will help you purify the demonic intent in your heart." Long Fei waved his hand. "No need, it's just a ball of demon chi, nothing serious." "Humph. Brat, you're so arrogant. The devil fire on my body is not ordinary demonic energy. I can make you instantly become a demon and turn you into a puppet under my control." While talking, the ancient devil tree felt that something was amiss. Because he could feel more than one wave of extremely strong energy staring at him from Long Fei's body. A pair of dark green eyes. A boiling spring. A coffin was quietly floating in the air. The thing that killed him the most was not these, but the two imprints, which were like two godly punishment swords that were suspended above his head. In front of these powers, he felt like a small ant, without any form of respect. Long Fei said lightly, "Didn't you want me to fall into the path of demon? Aren't you going to turn me into your puppet? Come on, let's continue." The ancient devil tree's eyes swept across and her body started trembling uncontrollably. Then, with a putong sound, she said, "Masters, I was wrong." Instantly, he fell to his knees. He was completely stupefied. He had never seen such a situation before, not even in the ancient world. These big shots are too fierce. One was more awesome than the other. At this time, the spring of life moved slightly. "World Tree, why don't you see who he is? You think you can steal Master's house? I think you're really crazy." The ancient devil tree looked at the spring of life as if it was looking at a family member. "Brother Quan, why are you here? The master you were talking about? Could it be?" The ancient devil tree shook suddenly, and only then did he manage to react. "This brat. No, he's the master." The spring of life asked, "If not, who do you think it was?" Immediately, tears streamed down the ancient devil tree's face. With snot and tears, it said, "Master, I've finally found you." Ding, ding. The system sounded out. System notification. The devil tree recognizes the owner. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient world tree. Huh? What's going on? Long Fei was startled. "How did you recognize me as the master?" Without waiting for Long Fei to clarify, the ancient devil tree's body began to slowly shrink until it became a young sapling. At the same time, he released all of the power in his body. Demon Heart was released. Devil Will was released. All powers related to the magic were released. He himself had been reborn. It became a sprout on a dead tree. At the same time, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining wood power. Do you wish to fuse it? Fuse. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for merging with wood force. The wood attribute has been increased by 100%. In the system, Long Fei had an additional attribute, which was the power of 5 elements wood. This meant that his power would be overlaid by even more wood energy. Not only his power, but the artifact forging, alchemy, and formation would also increase. With regards to the wood attribute cultivation technique, Demon Beastess, they had even more powerful comprehension abilities. Huff. Why did they only recognize him as their master? Long Fei scratched his head with a puzzled look. However, the Holy Maiden was extremely anxious. She said, "Quickly sit down. I'll help you purify your demonic intent. Be quick, or else the ancient devil tree will control your mind and you will not be able to cleanse it, and you will fall into the path of demon." Long Fei asked, "You care about me a lot." The Holy Maiden was startled. "What are you thinking about? Hurry up and do as I say." Long Fei laughed. "Seems like what I expected was correct, the man you love will appear today, it's me, ha ha ha. The holy maiden looked at Long Fei and the idea moved slightly. She said with shock in her eyes, the devilish will. Why? Completely gone. There was no demonic chi at all. This was impossible. Even her master was unable to cleanse the primordial spirit of the ancient deviltry, but why did it disappear into the body of the man in front of her? There was not a single body in this world that had such a power of purification. Unless he was the reincarnation of a saint child. Long Fei said, there's no why. If you really need to know the reason, it's probably because I'm too handsome. It's not tight. The holy maiden rolled her eyes at Long Fei, and once again carefully sensed his body, but she was still unable to sense any trace of demonic intent. She was puzzled, but she did not give it any more thought. Anyway, the ancient deviltry's aura was completely gone now. The demonic energy in the entire dark magic forest was also dissipating crazily. What her master had wanted to do all his life was finally done. At this moment, a white shadow flashed in the sky. The Pegasus roared. With a flap of its wings, it landed heavily on the ground. The ground was covered in sand, making it difficult for people to open their eyes. With a move of the white shadow, Zhu Yuan jumped down from the horse and walked out step by step. His entire being seemed to have walked out from a sandstorm, and the scene was extremely cool. It was very cool. A few elders stood in the sky not far behind Zhu Yuan. Every single one of them radiated with an incomparable amount of power, as boundless as the ocean. Powerhouse. The unparalleled powerhouse. Just looking at powerhouse was enough to make one's soul tremble. His cultivation was all at the heavenly Saint Peak realm. Long Fei muttered in his heart, so strong, Fatri sect is indeed like the clouds. Zhu Yuan walked to the holy maiden's side and asked, Sister Li, are you all right? As he spoke, Zhu Yuan coldly glanced at Long Fei. It was just a single glance, but there was no contempt in his eyes, nor was there contempt. Because Long Fei was not yet qualified to be looked down upon by him. Just like the air. The holy maiden shook her head. I'm fine. Zhu Yuan said, let's go back. The holy maiden replied, yes. Then, the holy maiden looked at Long Fei and said, thank you. Long Fei laughed, it's my honor to serve a beauty. Zhu Yuan's eyes darkened. The holy maiden hesitated for a moment before taking out a charm from her bosom. This is a calming heart incantation. It can suppress the demonic intent in your heart. If you are unable to control it, you can use it. In addition, I hope that you can pass the examination and achieve good result. With that, the holy maiden gave the sigil to Long Fei. Long Fei received it. The holy maiden turned around and left. Zhu Yuan looked coldly at Long Fei and said, some people are not people you can touch, and there are some things that you can't even think about, understand? This is my territory. If you want to survive on my territory, you must follow my rules. Long Fei asked, threatening me? Zhu Yuan sneered, you don't have the qualification to be threatened by me yet. At the very most, I'll give you a hint of warning, so you won't even know how you died when the time comes. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, and said, I don't know how I died, at least it's better than you abandoning her and fleeing for your life, right? Kid. Zhu Yuan's eyes flashed with anger, as if he had been stepped on by a cat, and with a hint of coldness in his eyes, he said solemnly, you're courting death, do you know that? At this moment, the holy maiden turned around to look at Zhu Yuan, and said, Brother Zhu, let's go. Zhu Yuan pointed at Long Fei and said, don't you want to die, understand? Finished. He turned around and left. His figure flashed up on his heavenly horse, and he said to the holy maiden behind him, Little Sister Li, grab my waist. There's more. Don't meet this kind of trash in the future. It will affect your cultivation. The holy maiden replied, but didn't grab onto Zhu Yuan's waist. The Pegasus moved, a gale rose, and instantly disappeared into the sky. The few mysterious elders also disappeared in the blink of an eye. At this time, Tan De Pao and the others ran over. Boss, are you all right? Big brother Long Fei, you nearly scared us to death. They all walked up. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "It's fine, who can hurt me?" Lan Mai asked with doubt, "Did you kill the demonic beast that came from that alternate world?" Qin Shuang, Chu Qing, and Zheng Yuanhang all looked at Long Fei. Long Fei laughed. "Yes, do you believe that?" Qin Shuang and the other two were shocked, their hearts were thumping, but they did not believe it, but they did not. However, Tan De Pao said with incomparable excitement, "Boss, you're too awesome." Lan Mai and Su Su also believed it. However, in this world, most likely no one other than the three of them would believe that was the one who killed the Chaos Lord. Long Fei looked in the direction where the heavenly horses had disappeared and could not help but ask, "What is the name of that holy maiden?" Qin Shuang said, "Brother Long, there is something I must remind you, she is not to be touched, and even more so not to be provoked." Zhang Yuanhang said slightly, "She is young sect master after all, his fiancé, and any man who approaches her will not have a good ending. This matter is no longer a secret in the Fatri sect, you must remember this." Long Fei looked at their nervous expressions and said softly, "You're overthinking it. I just want to know what she's called." Chu Qing replied, "Shenyuan Li the holy maiden of the Fatri sect S, who is also a peak owner outside of the 8 peak. Long Fei muttered, "Shenyuan Li This name. So familiar. Hai Yang, everything is settled. Updated in the morning." In the dark. In the dark. "Uncle Xiong, what do we do now? Do you want to make a move?" Zong Tianfeng asked carefully. He never thought that Xiong Halian would still be alive under that kind of situation. What made him even more confused was why that Chaos Lord would suddenly be crushed into fine powder. He didn't understand it at all. If this was an accident, then why didn't the primordial spirit power from the ancient devil tree rush into Long Fei's body at all? Not to mention falling into the path of demon, there wasn't even a little bit of damage. Was this an accident? Xiong Halian was an extremely cautious person. He relied on caution to become an elder of the Horcrux's Hill, and only then would he have the qualifications to be ranked in the Saints' Hill. Every step he took was extremely careful. Looking at the nearby Long Fei, Xiong Halian slightly shook his head and said, "Now is not the time." Zong Tianfeng nodded his head, "In the next test, we will make a move on him. This time, I will definitely make a move on him." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Xiong Halian immediately interrupted him and said, "I want him to become a disciple of the Fatri sect, and at the same time, become a disciple of the Horcrux's Hill." "Huh?" Zong Tianfeng was startled. Xiong Halian laughed coldly, and said, "Once he falls into my territory, even if he grows wings, he won't be able to fly out of my palms." Then, Xiong Halian said to Zong Tianfeng, "Inform them that Dark Magic Forest's examination is over." Zong Tianfeng was still in a daze. However, Xiong Halian's figure had already disappeared. A few minutes later, a crisp horn sounded. Chu Qing, Qin Shuang, and the other two were startled. Chu Qing said, "We are returning to the sect. This is the horn that summoned us all. Brother Long, you have to do your best. We must get this year's top scholar. We will wait for you at Fatri sect." The three of them bade farewell. Long Fei waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely take the top scholar." Using his best results to prove that this was also what Long Fei wanted to do. If he wanted to wash away the East Imperial City's land of trash, he would have to use his best result, a result that could crush all others to prove it. He believed that this was the only way to change Fatri sect's opinion of him. "You can't bear it." Su Su followed Long Fei's gaze and looked over, "Little big sis who's like a fairy, if it was me, I would also be unwilling to part with her." Lan Mai pursed his lips and smiled. Long Fei looked at Su Su and said, "You also think that's not bad, don't you?" Su Su said, "Not only is it not bad, it is simply perfect." Long Fei snickered. Su Su immediately shot a murderous glare at him and said, "Are you trying to harm others again?" Sensing Su Su's murderous gaze, Long Fei immediately said, "How can that be? There's only the two of you in my world. Women rely on coaxing, but..." Long Fei was not good at coaxing women, he was good at conquering. Su Su immediately rolled his eyes, and said, "There's only the two of us in this world. That's because you only have the two of us by your side, aren't the ye my sisters? Isn't that Queen of Blood Moon? We don't know how many more women there are. How many women do you have? Susu really wanted to know that Long Fei had flown from the lower realms into the universal realm, which meant that there were still many women in the lower realms. Forget it. I guess you won't even remember it yourself. It's just like what Big Sister Lan Mai said, as long as you have a tiny bit of us in your heart, Susu pouted. Long Fei held her in his arms and said, "Don't worry, no one will be able to shake your position. As long as it was his woman, she was untouchable." Actually, this couldn't be blamed on Long Fei. It was because he had a charisma that a woman could not resist. He had not even released 100% of his charm value, otherwise, he would be even more deadly. He guessed that when he stood on the street, all the women would pounce on him like hungry tigers pouncing on sheep. Susu said, "These words of yours are enough." Long Fei said, "All right, we should also head over to gather. Look, that huge immortal rock has appeared again, shrouding the sky and blotting out the sun." The wings of the immortal rock moved slightly, and waves of wind swept through the entire dark magic forest, spreading out in all directions. However, compared to when they first came, the current dark magic forest did not have any demonic energy at all. This forest was now just like the ordinary forests in the surrounding mountains. With the disappearance of the ancient devil tree, the forest became a pure land. It wouldn't be long before all sorts of native demon beast would appear. Long Fei looked at the giant rock in the sky and muttered, "I wonder how big the giant leviathan on top of the berserk beast Gobbledeggook is? You should be older than this immortal rock, right? Fatri sect, Saint's Temple. Holy Maiden, you've worked hard. It's all thanks to you this time around. You really are more talented than you are. Back then, what Tranquil Heart Junior Sister did not manage to accomplish, you did. Not only did you purify the devil tree, you even saved a calamity." Mr. Celestial Ju Daoren walked down from the high seat with a satisfied smile on his face, and also flipped his right hand. Buzz. A violet gold long sword. The sword flashed with a purple divine light. Ju Daoren took out the sword, and the entire Saint's Temple immediately let out a light sword hum. The eyes of all the elders in the hall slightly trembled. From their eyes, it was easy to tell that this sword was a high-grade divine treasure. Shenyuan Li was also slightly startled, and couldn't help but say, "Purple-edged divine sword." Ju Daoren smiled lightly and said, "This is your reward." Shenyuan Li took half a step back and said, "Mr. Celestial, I did not do anything. I cannot afford such a heavy reward, please take it back." "Ha ha ha." Ju Daoren laughed, and said, "Leah, we are all family, you are welcome. Speaking of this sword, it's a couple sword. The other sword is in Yuan Er's hand. There is a powerful sword technique hidden within this pair of swords. Yuana's divine sword intent has yet to reach large success. You guys should practice more." Ju Daoren did not care about whether Shenyuan Li agreed or not, and directly placed the sword in Shenyuan Li's hand, and laughed, "In the future, the two of you must become husband and wife." Shenyuan Li's gaze tensed up, and said, "Mr. Celestial, we..." Without waiting for Shenyuan Li to finish speaking, Ju Daoren said, "I know, but the time limit is almost up. Once the deadline has passed, you can get married." Ju Daoren's words carried a trace of anxiety. He was very clear about everything that was happening in the dark magic forest. Ju Yuan's devil will was getting stronger and stronger, and he could still control it now. He couldn't hold on for long. Once the matter was under his control, then Ju Yuan's bedevilment would be a huge blow to him and the entire Fatri sect. Especially his current position. If everyone knew that his son had fallen to the path of demon, then his position as sect master would definitely not be preserved. Thus, Shenyuan Li was his only chance. As long as Shenyuan Li and Ju Yuan combined, then he could help Ju Yuan escape this calamity. This woman was very important to him. Of course. Only he knew the secret. Shenyuan Li bit her lips as she said in an incomparably anxious tone, "Big brother Long Fei, where are you? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.